one question. What if you miss?
I won't.
I need to, and you know what's something, right? And I like doing that kind of stuff too, to where like I'm setting up like the wires and everything. Like I get really into that type of stuff. There was somebody actually on Twitter who I used to retweet all his work. Villain. That's how I remember his name. I just remember him being a villain. He did a lot of collectible stuff like King kind of does and stuff, like big statues, right? But I think he was an electrician as well, and bro, he used to share his workout and the way he like sets up his wiring and everything. Like you can tell, like people who just put in the work to make sure like their work is noticeable. It is such a tell in every industry. But yeah, I was thinking about that too, man. I don't know how much for a quick turnaround, like something that you could probably dive into and do solid with.
Yeah.
I might have to consider that, man. I might. Dang, that put a little bit of a bug in me. That's kind of because that's been something in the back of my mind that I've been kind of like playing with back and forth as well. To like, if I really wanted to do a quick turnaround to see a big, and I know something that it's going to be something that's going to exist for the foreseeable future. Even no matter AI can't replace real people putting the work in. Not yet, at least. Not saying that they won't be able to lay wire work and do all of that, but you could even be somebody that ends up working on those bots. You know what I mean? Like understanding the circuitry and all of that. And
there's gonna have to be humans that check their work.
At the end of the day,
that's such delicate work. It ain't happening, bro. It's gonna be a long time before we have robots replacing that kind of trade shit. For sure.
1,000%. Damn.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Anyway, look, ladies and gentlemen, we're live and it's just quick side tangent. We're talking about, behind the scenes things as we tend to do on a Saturday morning. I just want to be really upfront with you guys. I don't know how I'm feeling today. I don't know what we're going to get into. So chat, if there's a specific topic that you would like for us to jump into this week, definitely do that. We're going to tackle it as best as we can. I know the whole Avowed situation has been interesting just to hear different perspectives on that, both sides. Again, I don't think there's a particular right in any piece of it, but I do also understand the perspective that was being played into that. So that could be a multi-headed beast that we end up jumping into. I know there was a few other things that could possibly be on the mind. I know there's been more PoE content. There's been PoE 2, specifically Path of Exile 2 content that has been talked about this week as well. Again, the release for early access is next week. So that's going to be super dope. Again, we'll see how that ends up playing out. I do have my daughter's birthday that day, so and I got to work.
Servers are probably going to be effed anyways. So.
Yeah, servers probably going to be. So I'll probably set up something for like a Monday. I am playing Ranger, but other than that, I have literally nothing else to know about what's going on with PoE, right? I'm such a PoE noob. That's why I ended up making the thumbnail that says PoE noob plays. Not Rogue, that's what it's called in Diablo. I believe it's Archer or something like that, whatever the case. You know what I mean. But that's the class that I wanted to play just because, again, I've explained this before or here, where as I've gotten older, I wanted to move faster in the game instead of moving slower. Some people, they want to start using the heavier weapons as they
tank years, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I started off as. I was the tank. I still want to be in the action, but I feel like there's other ways to really be in the action. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And so other than that, if you don't know where you're at, you came in, you're like, yo, how random are these dudes, man? It's Live at SplitScreen. We are a non-console centric platform. The randomness, it's somewhat part of what we do here, but the main part of it is this is a place where we take the gaming industry and we blow it out. We like to call it that RTS view. That's real-time strategy for those who are not familiar, where we pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of that map, pull our resources together. So whether that be gamesindustry.biz, whether it be Wall Street Journal, whether it be even Game Informer, which doesn't exist, excuse me, IGN, that's who I was thinking about. No matter where it's coming from, PlayStation Lifestyle, that randomly popped in my mind, where no matter where it's coming from, we bring it right here on Living Split Screen to not only provide that RTS, but also give you that educated consumer perspective, ECP, because me and Pong do not work in the gaming industry. We are two dudes who have plenty of personal business experience, right? In the corp world, or, you know, just behind the scenes, but also 30 plus years of gaming expertise, knowledge, and just a passion for this industry. And that's what this is about, man. We get the chat involved. We'll see how involved y'all get this week. Because again, I'm leaning on you guys a little bit. I'm not even going to lie to you. Didn't end up pulling nothing to the side. Again, the stream, I even ended up setting up late. I just put the thumbnail up today. Mainly, I should have did it yesterday, but I wanted to get some gaming in. I hadn't really gotten any gaming in all week, but I also wanted to put out an additional episode for the from Monster Hunter World to Wild's journey that I'm also a part of. Again, that's happening every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, guaranteed 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Cut it short yesterday. I couldn't. There's too much going on the mental. So, ended up doing it for a couple hours. I do have that gameplay live for you all today. Sorry if the quality is a little bit off on that, because I did have to end up downloading it from YouTube because it crashed my OBS. Well, it crashed my recording yesterday. And crashed the game. It was getting my PC to do weird stuff. I should be able to record and stream at the same time, but for whatever reason, it's been giving me issues, and I just haven't played with it, to be honest. But I see a comment real quick. Crow says the Sly Crow, which has been joining me from time to time on that World to Wild's journey. Shout out to Crow. He's been getting it in with the Switch Axe, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Crow. And we just been having a blast on there, man. It's been a really good time jumping back into Monster Hunter. That's really the only thing that I've been in here as of late. But Crow was saying Steel is a beast with dual blades. Hey, man, I'm just playing the game, man. I'm just trying to get back used to it. There's a lot of things. I'm still trying to figure out how to run up the wall so I can jump on the enemy and do things. But I'm really more so working on positioning, because Diablos was beating my ass on stream, which I'll probably end up seeing this recording, but he was whooping my ass. I came back for the second time though, and I felt like I got more in the groove and was really feeling him out, getting into it. But Black Diablos was beating my ass too, and he kept getting involved. But enough of that, man. We'll get into this a little bit more about what we've been playing and everything, because I gotta introduce the uncanny gentleman himself, my brother from another, the X-Men that is not Cyclops or Iceman, but again, he is my guy, Pong. So what's going on, brother, man? How are you feeling? And dope to be here with you on a Saturday, bro.
Yeah, just happy to be here, man. Thanksgiving week, obviously, for us in the United States, for anybody that celebrated. I hope you all had an absolutely fantastic time with your families or whatever you did on Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody else has had a great week too. I obviously spent some time with over at mom and sister's house, which was nice. Got to see the kiddo. I haven't seen him in a bit, so he stopped by. So yeah, that's what we were talking about before the show when we went live. So I had a great Thanksgiving. Otherwise, yeah, man, it was great to be here, Steve. I'm just happy that we're having a show, man. You got a lot going on, and just happy that we're having a show, man, and great to chop it up with you, because again, we haven't really been able to talk this week at all. Real life being what it is. So
Always.
I'm just thankful, man. Thankful to be here on a Saturday, beautiful Saturday morning in chat. Thank you all for joining us, as always, and listening to our nonsense, as we are, as Steele said, random, completely 1000%. So if you are new to the show, listen to this now or in the future, yes, we can be extremely random here. Nothing is pre-planned out. We never know which way we're going to go, but that's the fun of it. So, yeah, man. Gaming, I've actually been doing some gaming because
Okay.
obviously a nice long weekend. I always like to whenever a Thanksgiving comes along and falls on that, or I mean, it always falls on a Thursday, but any holidays I fall on a Thursday, I like to take the following Friday because in my line of work and finance, everybody's off. So banks are off, like everybody's off, nobody's calling, nobody's doing business. So I just take the extra time. So nice 4-day weekend. So obviously Thanksgiving I spent pretty much all day with the family, but yeah, this week, Steel, I finished off Diablo.
Okay, the story.
I finished off
Really?
Vessel of Hatred. Yeah, finished it off.
How'd you
Actually
feel?
did some of the side content as well. That they have some of the side stories. And kind of ripped through it. Kind of
Okay.
finished it up and put a bow on it. Disappointing overall. Vessel of Hatred, as far as the story goes. Now again, I love the Spiritborn class. I know some people don't like it. I personally liked it. I liked my build. I had a great time with my build. It actually felt really good powering it up. Especially once I got into the Paragon board. I finished at I think 160 in Paragon, level 160
Okay.
in Paragon. So I had did I have 4 boards up or 4 boards up? I think I had 4 boards total up. Really felt good. Even as a solo character, really having a good time. And again, I wasn't going for a meta build. You guys know I don't do the meta build shit. I played it how I wanted to play, and it still felt viable, which hasn't always been the case with Diablo 4.
Yeah, that's my issue.
But for this time around, it actually did feel pretty viable. I got a little squishy because I gave up some of my. I was messing around more so than anything else and just fooling around with a bunch of the uniques and stuff like that, but became a barrier class, which was kind of crazy. Like I normally don't run barrier, but I kept finding pieces that had barrier. And it actually worked out really well because I was getting bonuses for, damage with a barrier up and all that good stuff. So having a great time with the Spiritborn. But overall, Vessel of Hatred, the ending, as Decado and others told me, shout out to Decado, the ending was better than the whole entire middle section. The beginning started great. Obviously, the setup was great. We knew that. We were excited about, what we had seen with Nyrel and, the whole setup with her carrying the crystal, with Mephisto being in it.
Mhm.
Like, love that, right? The setup was fantastic. The whole middle section, though, not good, man. Not up to Blizzard standards, not up to what I was expecting from the story. The ending, while it was good, because obviously you did get the ramp up, it left it as a cliffhanger because, of course, they're going to expand on it again.
Right.
Knew that was coming. But obviously the ramp up, having Mephisto become, more and more powerful, that was dope, right, to see. But it felt like it was rushed, right? Because they had this whole middle section with... It was fine. Like I said, I understood with the Spiritborn class, they had to introduce this whole kind of new faction or this, this new set of people. And it all kind of worked. It just wasn't over the top impressive like I normally get. Again, coming off of the main campaign of Diablo 4 with Mother and all that, like Lilith just being so, and again, the cinematics of the maybe that's what it was more so than anything. Maybe it was just kind of a hangover from that, but I thought they were going to continue that quality forward just in a smaller piece, right? Because obviously I wasn't expecting the expansion to be the size of the main campaign, right? That's not what I was expecting. I was expecting the quality to be there and have that same oomph that the initial run through did. But it was a decent ending. It was a good ending. But overall just disappointed with the expansion. So ran through that, did what I needed to do, and deleted Diablo. So, I did my final check. I'm over 500 hours. I'm not gonna regret anything. With Diablo 4, I had a blast. I know eventually I probably will pop it back in down the road and go back to it at some point. But I don't play anything for 500 hours I don't enjoy. I love the hell out of it, but like you, Steel, I'm ready for Path of Exile 2. And I also decided that I'm going to double dip Path of Exile 2 because it is cross progression. Yeah, it is cross progression. So I am going to buy on console and buy on PC early access. So $30. I'm not going to go for any of the big boy packages. But I will definitely give GGG $30 on both so that I can play in both places. And I'm ready to start Path of Exile 2. So I'm ready to dive into that. So I'm happy that I got it to finish it off. Overall, and again, not going to regret my time with Diablo 4. Loved it. I had a blast creating all those characters. I only missed one season up to this point. And So that's my Diablo 4 experience. And then, of course, still popping into Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, of course. Not doing any long stretches of runs, but just here and there. And obviously they had double XP weekend, extended weekend for Thanksgiving this weekend. So I jumped back into that as well. Got a little bit of playtime with that. And then it's been a mix. Actually, yesterday, I popped in Age of Mythology and tried out their new game mode that they created. I hadn't played Age of Mythology in a few weeks. And so I popped in there, got hooked right in. The new game mode that they have, like this, I forget what it's called, Path of the Gods or something. I can't remember what the hell it is. Anyways, it's just a cool mode. It's basically, it's got a story to it. So they added story to it with the gods. And basically you are running through, and as you beat each point, and it eventually branches. There's a branching path that you can choose which way you want to go. But as you beat each point to start out, you are gaining abilities, and you have 3 slots that you can set up certain skills or abilities, whatever you want to call it. And you're saying, what? Age of Mythology? Yeah. So like one of the skills, like causes your townspeople to cost less to produce. Right. So you can just get benefits. One of them is like your warriors do more damage, right? Your foot soldiers do more damage. So, but you could choose up to 3 of those. And it basically becomes skirmishes, and you're skirmishing. And sometimes it's 1v1, sometimes it's 2v2. And obviously you can do it. It is set up for co-op, but if you don't have co-op, it's just does AI, just like you normally can do in Age. So yeah, I've been doing that, and I rocked through like 4 levels. 3 or 4 levels yesterday, and then I got to a spot, and I was rocking and rolling. I'm playing on hard. And there's like 4 more levels above me, 3 or 4 more levels. Age doesn't just do, like easy, normal, and hard. Like there's like tons of levels. So again, I'm a little bit above that because I've again been playing RTSs for so long. I like to challenge myself a little bit. I was rocking through these skirmishes like no problem. And then I got to a point, though, I hit this one. I'm on my second restart because my AI partner is dumb as shit, and it's getting rolled every time. Yeah. So then it winds up 2v1. And, like, I haven't played Age in, like I said, 3 weeks, maybe like a month. I haven't played Age, so I'm kind of, speed-wise, I'm not up to where I was. So I'm getting rolled because these guys are just coming in quicker than shit. And I'm like, I'm not ready, and I got nobody to back me up at all. So, but I'm having a blast. Absolutely enjoying the hell out of this new content that they created. This is different for Age. Age 2 and Age 4 certainly have their expansions. They have their additional stories. Obviously, anybody who's played Age knows it's based on history. So they have history lessons you can play through specific periods of time, in history, specific moments, right? And you can kind of get a history lesson while you're doing it. But Age of Mythology is totally different. So the fact that they created this very unique kind of new mode for it is really awesome. So I'm loving the hell out of that. And then, of course, Stalker 2. And Stalker 2 is special. Stalker 2 is so good. The patch dropped yesterday. For anybody who doesn't know, the first big patch dropped yesterday. It became available on Xbox later in the afternoon. I actually had to restart my Xbox to get it to pop, which is always a weird thing. I hate that about Xbox. It's never worked right. Patches never go live the way they should. And I know there's the certification process. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they're actually active. The Xbox console sometimes just does not pick them up if you're already logged in. Like I had to do a restart to get it. But I've been rocking Stalker 2. And we talked about it at length last night on Xbox Ultimate 2. It is one of those games that obviously is not going to be for everybody. We already know this. The difference in reviews is certainly warranted. Again, some of the stuff that they, knocked it down for wasn't there after the day 1 patch. And I haven't had any problems besides one crash on Xbox.
Still.
So again, I've got my magic Xbox going because only one crash, and haven't had any of the stick issues that people have reported, haven't had any other massive problems, haven't had any save problems, haven't had anything. So my experience with Stalker 2, even before the patch, was great. Got the patch uploaded yesterday. Didn't really notice a difference at all yet because, again, I wasn't having any massive issues. But obviously I hadn't had any missions bug out like some people had certain missions bug out too. But this game is freaking amazing. For me,
Okay.
this game is the atmosphere. There's certain game steals we know, like there's certain games that are beautiful, that are gorgeous, that do everything right. And technically, from a technical standpoint, they're amazing games, right? But they can still sometimes not click with you. Like there's certain times that just certain games just don't, you play through them and you're like, God damn, that was amazing, right? But then other games come along still, and we've had a couple this year, obviously. Space Marine 2 is another one that just oozes atmosphere. Like the setting just feels right. Stalker 2's setting just feels right. It's not the most graphically beautiful game of all time, and we've seen so much better from Unreal Engine 5. From that standpoint, right. But I'm just saying, from a realism standpoint, from Unreal Engine 5, we've seen games push Unreal Engine 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
This game doesn't do that, but like I said last night, there's something about it. People will dismiss it, and people say, "Well, this isn't current gen graphics. This is like last gen graphics. This is AA bullshit." Blah blah blah. When you are playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
it's different, bro. When you, for whatever reason, for me, the graphics themselves just fit into the zone. They fit, and I'm saying the zone as that's the area that you're playing in is called in Stalker.
Stalker, yeah.
So zone, because this is based on Chernobyl, and because the team went out and actually went to the actual zone themselves around Chernobyl and took pictures and brought that back, they captured whatever they went out and saw in the real world. They captured. Yes, you get the you get the anomalies, you get the sci-fi shit going on in this game, you get the stuff that's not real. But what they brought back and put into this game, it feels like they brought an actual piece of Chernobyl back to and got it in the game. And it just, the graphics match the tone overall. And it's a combination of the palette, the color palette, and kind of like I said last night, the imperfectly perfect kind of graphics. It's not, because everything in the zone is warped, right? Because of the setting, because of the nuclear fallout, because of what these people are going through and experiencing within the zone, everything is kind of off. And so the graphics themselves, being that they're not the best of all time, kind of matches that whole experience. And then you throw in the sound, you throw in the AI, you throw in the randomness of the world. Again, we talk about the randomness because not every studio gets this in an open world game. Not every studio sets out to do this. Bethesda's obviously the main one that does it very well. It's special levels that Bethesda does it, but GSC has captured a piece of that in their own way with the randomness of the world. Again, you could be walking around, random group of stalkers is just patrolling the area or looking for, treasure, whatever the case may be, looking to loot stuff. And all of a sudden, as Mav calls them, the meatballs, the walking meatballs show up.
That's what I called them last week. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's calling them meatballs. It's hilarious because they do look like a meatball. Yeah, I know. Everybody is.
Or
boars or whatever. And all of a sudden there's random gunfight. Or you can be walking along and all of a sudden hear gunfire. And you can go and check it out, see what's happening. It's completely a random encounter. And you could sit back and not participate. Or you could participate if you want to. Or like me, I lead, if I got a pack chasing me and I know there's some stalkers in the area, I'll go lead the monsters to the other stalkers and have them join the battle with me because they'll open fire instantly. Yeah, use the game to my advantage. It's stuff like that that immerses you in a game, that makes the world feel more lived in, that makes it feel more alive, because that's how real life is. It's random. No, we're not in the zone and we don't have random. Well, some of us might have random gunfire, but a lot of us don't experience that. But I'm just saying, like, that's what makes this game incredibly immersive and such a fun time exploring. Yes. Is it borderline horror for me? Yes, it is. The bloodsuckers coming out of nowhere. I get so fucking tense still? I had a situation yesterday in a random area, was not thinking that there would be anything there. And all of a sudden this thing is on me, like no warning, out of the blue, Predator style. It's hitting me. And I panicked the fuck again yesterday because I get so tense when that shit happens, but it's not over the top to the point where I can't play it. I just love this game through and through. This is a game that I think, Steel, I said this last night, is going to be one of the games that come out of 2024. It didn't come out perfect. Certainly the reviews, it's not up for game of the year. It's not in any of those categories, right? For people, for generally speaking, when we're talking about reviewers and that kind of stuff. But I think that Stalker 2, the way GSC is handling it, they're already doing patches. It's already got a massive fan base of people like myself who are on board with what they do here, whether they're old Stalker fans or new Stalker fans like Mav. Mav never played Stalker back in the day, but he's loving Stalker 2.
You know why?
I think that's
and I think it's something that y'all speak to, at least from what I have noticed, right? Yeah. And again, I'm somebody who dropped off the game, right? It's just it's not for me right now. I know it's going to take time for me to get into. Hey, it is what it is. But even for me, looking from the outside in, how y'all speak about Bethesda and some of the things that people were complaining that Starfield doesn't have, right? It does seem like Stalker 2 does have, right? The randomness of the world, how it feels as you're traveling and exploring this world. It feels more of that like a traditional RPG, from what I'm at least hearing from a lot of people, that hey, the Stalker reminds, or at least when they're describing it, it feels like and sounds like it's the same thing that people were saying about Skyrim as an example. Like there's a lot of the same terminology that's being used and a lot of the same feelings that are being had, especially the people that are like actually getting into it. Now, I'm not talking about the people that are like they're like, oh, it wasn't for me. It's trash. It doesn't look good. It's not optimized. All the other things, because again, you can definitely rate the game for what it is. Again, you're more than welcome to do that. It is a product, and it's, as a consumer, judge it. I do think that there are external factors that you have to consider, right? If you care to consider, but nonetheless, that's just, I wanted to point that out because that's something that you guys talk to all the time that I am hearing from other people that I feel like was missing when, because I heard you guys talk about Shattered Space yesterday. And yes, it does seem to be a consensus, as much as people may feel, you, Mav, other people that have not completed Starfield, right? Or had, been able to jump knee deep into some of those experiences and do play them obviously quite a bit different than most people do. There is something to be said with what Stalker 2 is doing. And I think that is also just as impressive, especially when you consider, hey, they are using Unreal Engine 5. It is known to have certain issues, or whichever the case. And for them to have the amount of seemingly depth to the game, I think it's super dope and impressive. So.
Yeah, it really is. And that sense of exploration, you guys know how huge that is for me. And that's here. Again, you can go, and sometimes you won't find anything, but you can go wherever you want to, and you can find stuff. Like, again, sometimes it's very rewarding, like climbing a tower, like you see a water tower and you go, well, shit, something should be up there. Sure enough, you climb up there and there's a pack. And in this game, because of the style that it is, because it is a survival game, right? And still, like you said, it has a feeling, an element of RPGs, but obviously you don't up your skills. Like you up your weapons, right? You could obviously modify your weapons, which helps you, but you don't get skill points. So you don't get any better. You're not getting experience points for anything you kill. It's a survival game. So when you find something through exploration, it's meaningful. If it's a med pack, or if it's a can of food, that might save your damn life in this game. Right? That's not over the top dramatic. Now you can play on easy and it changes the entire game. Like ACG said, it takes away all that element. Yeah. It takes away all the element of that. But if you're playing on Stalker level, or I forget what the hardest level is, there's two more, and I'm playing on Stalker level. Again, I'm playing on normal, the way it's expected, but normal in Stalker is a tough game. That's the way it was back on the day in PC. Like that's how they set up the game, right? That's it's supposed to be challenging. Going to the next mode is like ridiculous. But anyways, that gives it even more rewarding an experience when you're out exploring, because every little piece that you find could be a lifesaver in this world. And things like what Brett Brigham said, he went up against a pack of rats in this game and he got an achievement for killing them with 4 different weapons. That's out of necessity, because that's out of necessity that you are using 4 different weapons to kill a pack of rats right? Because it's not because you want to, it's because you run out of damn ammo in the middle of the battle because you're fired off your weapon. You got to reload. You don't have time to reload. Otherwise, you're dead. So
Right.
you're swapping out weapons mid battle because you have to. And you're fighting with everything that you got: knife, pistol, machine guns, whatever, grenades. It doesn't matter. You're fighting with what you got. That's the dope part. The NPCs, again, I'm playing with the Ukrainian voiceover, so I'm playing with subtitles. It fits so well. I highly recommend anybody who's playing this, if you don't mind, having subtitles, which some people do, and again, I get it. Play with the Ukrainian voiceovers. It is worth it because it's set in that world. It just adds to the environment. It is just awesome. The storms, I can't say enough about the storms. I still have not had the red storm yet. Mav was showing some screenshots last night. He's had one.
Okay.
But even the storms going from, and I was talking about this last night. There was a moment yesterday I was playing and it caught me by surprise. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in the game, like and sometimes your brain clicks in. I was just walking around and it was in a calm moment, which is, they're I wouldn't say they're rare in this game, but they're not the normal because you're usually on high alert.
There's
for
always
anything
something.
in the There's always something that can kill you in this environment, right? But I happened to be in an area and I kind of knew that I was in a good spot. So I was just calmly kind of walking around and I was kind of looking, just to see if there was anything to find. But there was a gentle rain going, Steel, and they had this sublime music. The music doesn't get enough credit in this game either, but it's one of those, the way they did the music and composed the music, it ramps up, obviously, when battles are about to happen or something sees you. It gives you
Clues,
you warning that
okay,
something's happening. Yeah, that something's happening. But in this moment, Steel, it had this sublime, calm, light music that was just mixing into the environment of this like gentle rain that was just kind of coming down, and everything was gray and everything's muted because that's the color palette they chose until you drink vodka. And then if you drink, then all of a sudden the colors.
I heard you mention that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's dope as hell. But anyway, so it was just a calm moment. All of a sudden I just was like, holy shit, man. This is like perfect. This is what you look for in games, and this is what devs strive to do to people in a game like this, is to have these moments where you're so lost in the world and everything is just kind of fits together perfectly. And it was one of those moments, man. And that goes to the tense moments too. Again, when the storm's whipping up, and I've been through an electrical storm. Again, I haven't had one of those, I forget what they call it. They got a specific name for the big storms, but the electrical storms, that is intense as fuck, man. Like, it ramps up, the wind starts blowing, shit starts flying in the air. Like, you feel like you're in a storm and you're kind of like, feel like you need to seek shelter. And then the lightning starts, Steel. And it's not just in your area. They've got lightning everywhere that's striking. And again, it's open world. And you know for a fact that if you were in that area, that's really happening. But then all of a sudden a lightning strike happens right in front of you. And it will shock the shit out of you, as it should, pun intended. It will really take you back. How, like, I got to get indoors, man. Like, I'm out here exposed right now.
Makes you think about
I'm about to die. I'm about to die out here in a storm, right? Every little thing that they've added to this game has a purpose, and the environment itself is its own character in this game. And again, there's a lot of games that do that well. BioShock does that. And we can go through history. There's been a lot of studios that pulled it off. But for, again, GSC, for what they went through, for a team that was disbanded, that came back together, and they had to pull people. Yes, there was some of the old team there, but they had to pull new people. Like I said last night, that in that documentary, that little behind the scenes they had, they talked about how many people they pulled from other development studios.
It's a good watch. Because
those people were Stalker fans and wanted to work on Stalker 2 because they were Stalker fans from back in the day. They pulled, obviously, a lot of talent to put this together. And again, taking into consideration in the middle of an actual literal war zone at the time, with two halves of the team split up eventually, for them to pull this together, I can't wait to see what the studio does in the future. As I said last week, I'm just so impressed with this game, man. This game is everything that I wanted, and more. And despite and again, there is criticism. This game is not above criticism. You can criticize this game for sure. But for me, this is exactly what I was looking for. And like I said, I think this will be one of the most talked about games years to come that came out of 2024 that people are still exploring. People are still playing Steel down in the future, years to come. And I think that says everything right there. And I believe that to be the truth. Out of all the games this year, Stalker 2 will be one of the most remembered games for a lot of people. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. And that will be despite the fact that it wasn't up for Game of the Year, despite the fact that it didn't have the best reviews. And that's when you know a game has something else, has a little extra, when it can rise above its problems and become a fan favorite. And Stalker 2, I think, is going to be that game. It is already to a large degree. So really impressed.
I mean, that's super dope to hear. I mean, that seems to be consistent, at least for the most part, for people like I just tuned into to kind of get a perspective. There are still the other side of it as well, where people are still negative on the game. Right. Sure. And I know Tubabu Kumi is mentioned in the chat, hey, they did an update that essentially fixed some of the economy and made everything a lot cheaper, and you get better rewards. So, and you said you can confirm that. So, I mean, again, so obviously they are listening and they are paying attention and they do want the game to be good. But still keeping in mind, to Vandal's point, like he just mentioned, Stalker 2 will definitely be a cult classic like 1 and 2. I think on release it has proven that. There's people who are also defending the game in the Stalker community, if you want to call it that. I know there's people who are, you know, they're mainstays. They consider Stalker a mainstay for them. So in that aspect, you know, it reached the audience that they needed to reach, right? And let's just hope that all we got to do is wait to see what else is going to happen with the performance of the game, how people end up coming onto it. And again, with it being in Game Pass, how much is that also going to be a benefit to them for the future? So 80s Cartoon Villain says Stalker 2 is one of those games I just can't play. I can't just play by itself. I have to come back to it now and then. And there are some of those games that are like that. I don't prefer to play games like that. And again, that was the biggest reason I put it down, because it was just like, I see where this is going. But again, you do have to put time into it. And when you have, again, one of the biggest benefits of 2024, and I don't think I'm ready to quite do a year wrap up yet. I still have to sit down with some of the games that I would consider. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 and Space Marine 2 are just automatically standouts to me for my top 3 games of the year. I would say right now, I might even have a top 5 that I would want to go down, to be real, to fit in some of the other things that I've played. Just because it's been a very generous year. I might even throw the first Descendant in there. I mean, to be quite frank, and that's still a game that I need to go fucking back to, bro. Yeah. And it's only getting better. Season 2 is dropping next week, which is crazy. But Path of Exile comes out next week too, and Diablo 4. This is what I'll say real quick. I don't know if it's going to be quick, but just off a side tangent, because I don't know what else I want to get into other than me talking about Monster Hunter. But Diablo 4 did do one thing right. It did remind me of why I love the ARPG genre. Point blank, period. It really did. Those moments where we got together, grouped up, and we were, just trouncing on, just killing mobs. Those are some really good moments. Being able to, it being a game where, once you get your build together, you can kind of turn your brain off and just use it as a feel good game. You get off work, or you got whatever you got going on. You sit down, you can pop on Diablo and just really get to it, right? And again, nothing will ever take away the experience that I have with Diablo as well. I've probably have over 100 hours in there. That's casual for a lot of different people. Again, Pong trounced my hours. That was the word I was looking for when y'all noticed that I was struggling. I was looking for trounced. I don't know why it took forever to find, but I found it. But he's definitely trounced my numbers now at this point. But again, and I've been very vocal about the reasons why I stopped playing Diablo, because it was just very blatantly obvious that they didn't know where they wanted the game. Again, it is also another game where the PvP in it has gotten no attention, right? Because they've been struggling to catch up, right? Get things fixed, get certain, there was things when we played in that season 0 and then 1 that should have been there that didn't come in till season 3, right? So it's just stuff like that. And now, especially with what I have seen, and again, I mentioned this last week, when you see what Path of Exile's done, Last Epoch, because I even played Last Epoch for a bit. Mind you, I stopped playing it because of the server issues, right? Because of the server issues, I just never jumped back in. I wanted to, and I thought about it, but I was like, I'm playing something else right now. So now seeing what Path of Exile is doing, also have tried Path of Exile and it not necessarily digging for me. And again, the game was older. I just played Diablo 4. It's like, do I want to play D4 or I want to play Path of Exile 1? I'll just keep playing D4, especially knowing that I hate playing games and I have to automatically feel like I need to look something up in order for the game to make sense. And look, if PoE off rip grabbed me in the first 10 hours, like previously, then that would be a little bit different. Shout out to the moms out there. But if Path of Exile 1 would have grabbed me earlier on, then maybe that would have been a bit of a difference. But what they have shown with Path of Exile 2, just to see such a smaller dev team, again, you're talking about a dev team that has less than 200 people working on the game, in comparison to, I believe we covered it last week, over 6,000 plus devs that are working on the granddaddy, known as Diablo. It's just very impressive. You see the change in strategy. The director is very honest with his takes in the direction. It gives you another appreciation for the art as well, right? Not just the genre, but also the art. When you see somebody who is so passionate and has an understanding of where they want to take the game. Because again, them stopping working on the game after Act 3 on the story side of things and then saying, no, we need to focus on end game for early access, or when we release the game, quote unquote, is such a bold move, but it also shows that they understand their player base. Right? Or and to me, it shows me that they understand the genre. Because that was Diablo's thing. Diablo made a lot of promises and then fell short in the end game. And it's like, that was the reason like this existed in the first place. Like these are the things that were so important in Diablo 2 and what you missed in D3, and now you're missing it again in D4, and now you're saying, the system it's not agile enough, it can't do certain things. Again, I do think it speaks to some of the troubles that they've had in development. We had some rumors about those things. And sorry about the gameplay lagging a little bit for you guys on your end. I think this is from when I was recording the gameplay and streaming at the same time. So I think I'll just pull up another gameplay here in a second. But again, Path of Exile 2 has me excited. Dropping next week. It's going to be super dope to get into. Again, with it also being fresh, that's the other thing that's exciting about it, is I'm not jumping into Path of Exile 1 and anticipating that I have to look something up. No, this is brand new. Everybody's starting from zero. They've made it more casual friendly, quote unquote casual friendly, because it's still not Diablo 4. And again, Diablo 4 is perfect for people like, shout out to the homie PTK Blam. He does the shop every Saturday night. It is great for people who are stepping into the ARPG genre and want an understanding of what makes it special. And that Diablo 4 now, and I think is a perfect marriage for that. But is it what I wanted Diablo to be? From what I'm seeing now from other developers, it doesn't seem to be. So it's going to be interesting to see how I enjoyed jumping into it. I know Paul was talking about jumping into it as well. He said he's going to actually double dip into it now. Again, the game is going to also have full crossplay. So that's something else to keep in mind. Cross save and everything. Crossplay, cross save, all that good stuff. It's all connected to your Path of Exile account. So get that set up. And again, keep in mind, it does release next Friday. The servers may not be super active that day, but so if you're going to take a day off, I definitely would recommend that Monday so you be able to rock and roll. But Pong, what if Grinding Gear Games is one of the first studios in a while who gets the early access right, where there is no server issues, when the game just works, especially with all the new hype that's coming behind it? Like, what would that say at that point? Because even Diablo had its issues on release. And again, Diablo's a bigger name, but I think from what I've been seeing recently over the last 2 weeks, PoE is getting that Diablo 2 effect, like where people are like, I don't know, man, this game is kind of serious. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of PoE 2 content at work and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been, because it's easy to have on the background. I don't catch all the details, but it's just easy to have on the background. But I've been really diving into the Path of Exile 2 community, and going to some of the big Path of Exile people out there, like Havoc and those kind of guys,
Right.
that have been playing this game for basically 10 years, right? The Path of Exile 1. But I've been listening to the interviews with Jonathan too, the head of GGG.
Bro,
Listen,
he's such a passionate person, bro.
he is, and he's not afraid to say he doesn't know, because he's got other people in charge as well that handle different things, and that's always dope when somebody doesn't try to fake it like he knows everything just because it's his main game, right? It's a game that he helped design. But it's really cool to hear him talk, because this whole team is built around just a passion for ARPGs in particular, and that's why they started GGG, was to take what Diablo 2 did and go back to that root style ARPG. And they created Path of Exile 1, which became a phenomenon, which obviously obviously everybody goes into creating the best game possible. I always say that no matter what kind of devs they are. But you never they never really expected Path of Exile 1 to take off the way.
No, they only wanted, from what he said, they were only expecting for about, they were happy if only 10,000 people played their game.
Right, exactly. And it turned it into this freaking now IP that is on a lot of levels beloved beyond even Diablo to certain groups of people, and because of what it represents, because it represents the purest form of ARPGs, because they didn't go the route of dumbing things down and trying to necessarily get a wider audience. And I've seen certainly some Path of Exile 1 fans, I've seen some comments saying that they're headed that route with Path of Exile 2, that some people are already bitching and complaining about some of the changes. But overall,
that was one of the biggest complaints about the game, though.
Right,
so for them, and they did change quite a few things. And again, they give you a whole recommended tier, like a whole recommended list now for players, or you can open that up if you want to.
What Jonathan talks about, right, is what all they've done is do a lot of streamlining. Because Path of Exile 1 has a lot of bloat to it, because they were adding on to it as they went. So there's a lot of, like he talks about the crafting system being this unwieldy thing, because there's so many aspects to the crafting that they added over bits and pieces over time of that 10 years that Path of Exile 1 has basically been around now, that it's convoluted. It doesn't, there's things that don't make sense. There's things that are unnecessary. It's complex when it doesn't have to be complex. Yeah, he speaks to that all the time. So that's what they're doing basically in Path of Exile 2, is distilling what they had in Path of Exile 1. And yes, are they reusing a lot of Path of Exile 1 stuff in Path of Exile 2? Yes, they are. And I think that's great. Like, that's fantastic, because there's a lot of greatness out of Path of Exile 1. Why would you not reuse that, right? They're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but they're distilling what happened in Path of Exile 1 into Path of Exile 2 and trying to streamline everything so that it's just easier for veteran players and easier for newer players to jump in. But the big thing that I've caught on, what I was getting to here, Steele, is that through all these interviews and all these breakdowns, because people are obviously already bro. Shot don't know it's Alex. He cracks me up all the damn time. But he's been on a rant going, how the hell are you breaking down what classes are going to be best in Path of Exile 2 when we know nothing? Like, he's like, there's already videos out there breaking down what best classes all. Bro, it's crazy. But the thing that I've gotten from these interviews is that they are overwhelmed with the response, especially to this latest, to their breakdown, to their deep dive, their hour and a half deep dive they just have. They are overwhelmed with the response. And Jonathan specifically, because to your question, Steele, about the servers, he said that that's what they're working on right now, is they want to make sure that's part of the delay. Why they had the delay into December was to make sure that their launch was good to go, and they are trying their best. They are already nervous about the servers because of how many people have already bought into early access. Again, everybody out there who doesn't understand, early access is $30 on the cheap end. They've got all the way up to a $500 package if you want to give them money.
Yeah.
But when this goes to 1.0, which he said will be between 6 months, max year, okay, max year, minimum 6 months. Once it goes to full release, it's a free to play game. You don't have to pay a dime.
You don't have to
so
pay
if you don't
anything,
jump into early access, you can just wait and play free to play.
You can even get a code from watching somebody play the game.
You can get a code. Right, exactly. So, but the response to early access in a couple of the interviews, he already talked about it. They are way beyond what they thought for people buying into early access. They're way up and beyond the numbers that they thought they would get for a purchase into early access, because like he says, we're a free to play game. Like, people know this. Like, we weren't expecting everybody to jump into early access like this.
Well,
so
the other thing too is just knowing Path of Exile has the stink of being a more difficult ARPG, right? That's one of the first things that people say. Oh, it's expansive. Oh, you got to play it a certain way. Oh, if you don't play this way, then you're going to get lost in the build. And then if you can't back it out, you can't fix this. And again, those are all things that he actually spoke to as well. And he said that was never his intention for the game to be that way. It's just that's how the game has evolved. I mean, again, and they have been adjusting it. Like he's mentioning in quite a few interviews now at this point that when they made PoE, that was literally their first foray into developing a game. So it's like, from that aspect, like the whole reason PoE 2 got created in the first place is because they went in to rig the characters and were like, well, we got to update this stuff. They went to update the character models. They're like, we got to update this stuff. They went to upgrade the abilities and they're like, we might as well update that too. And then boom, now you spin off a second iteration of your game that has all these advancements in it. And now you're taking into consideration, hey, what is the most complained things that people have about our game, and how can we make that easier for people to have accessibility to it? So it's just been, I'm gushing so much about it just because it's dope. That energy is extremely infectious. And when I watch somebody, you see the passion light up in their eyes, and you see that, hey, because again, he also speaks to some of the decisions that have gone into PoE 2 and how he has been like, no, we're not doing that. Or is saying, yes, we are doing that. Just to hear that in this era feels fresh for some reason to me. You don't have a lot of devs that come out when their creative director says, of course, we know those things happen behind the scenes, but when they get interviewed, well, they will boldly tell you like, hey, there are things that happen where people come to me and ideas and I tell them no. Because at the end of the day, this is my game. Yes, we are making it, but this is the vision that I have for that game. And that's just so dope because that's what the art is about, right? You're a creative director for a reason. You're the art director for a reason. You have all these other positions for a reason. It's so interesting to me. Fahim keeps speaking to...
The passion is infectious. I just want to say
the passion is extremely infectious.
When you watch these guys, when you watch Jonathan's interviews, like you could just, like you said, Steele, you feel it through the screen. Like, dude's totally chill, laid back. He's not in your face. Like, oh my God. Again, he's a totally chill guy. He freely admits when he doesn't know something. But he's funny. He's charismatic in his own way. And you can tell he's doing what he loves. And he's kind of still caught up in the moment of like what they created. And that he kind of is living in a dream world right now where they're doing this. And the pressure's on him and he feels the pressure. But every decision that they make, Steele, like they just make good decisions, whereas these bigger companies don't. Like they seem to trip over themselves when they have to make decisions. You see these guys and like they make a choice and their whole community's like, please go ahead, just do your thing. Delay, cool, we'll wait a couple more weeks, it's fine. And then what do, Steele? They drop one of the greatest deep dives into a game that people have seen.
That is so insane.
Right? That's what they do. And then he even had to laugh because he's like, oh, people thought we had this deep dive like ready to rock and roll for like the past month. He's like, no, we were rendering the night before. And he goes, there's so many mistakes. I look in there, things that I forgot to talk about that I wanted to talk about. He's like, we got mistakes in there that when I watched the gameplay, because one of them was one of the monk abilities, I think calling in the monkey, and the monkey, everybody pointed out, the monkey shows up, the gorilla shows up, beats his chest, and then runs into a wall. And everybody's like, we have no idea what this ability does because that doesn't look very effective. Cool, but he's like, yes. He goes, we picked up on that right away. He goes, I was watching going, oh God, no. So it's that level of just being a human being and a small team that is completely flexible and adaptable on the fly, but has maintained that independent kind of attitude, that indie dev style of, hey man, we are just doing what we feel is going to be fun for all of you. Yeah. And he talked about it again too, Steel, real quick. He talked about it again too. He's like, we'd rather buff things than nerf things. Or he goes, no, we'd rather he goes, we'd rather buff. Yeah, that's exactly how I said it right. We'd rather buff some weak point skills or some weak, items than nerf anything that's too powerful. Right. And so that continues to be like their motto, like what is going to be fun for the players. And because they're all the players themselves that started this whole studio to make a game that was Diablo 2 like, shut up. I think that has stayed the same, and that love and care for this game and this IP now is shining through every time. And I think that's what people catch on to. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be super dope. Again, I never thought I'd be speaking like this about an ARPG again, but it definitely does remind me of, reminds me of the Diablo 2 days, right? There was nothing like that OG experience. PoE 1 gave me some of that, but I think PoE 2 was just going to transport me right back in time and have me knee deep in that experience, along with playing Monster Hunter, because that's the only other thing that I have been really jumping into pretty consistently, and I'm still continuing my journey through that. Again, we are going from Monster Hunter World to Wilds, which releases in February. Playing Path of Exile and Monster Hunter at the same time is going to be interesting, or in tandem, I would say, with each other. But they do play very differently from each other, so there is that. There's a lot of big benefits in there. But yeah, if you're interested in that, continue to come out Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want to catch me live, there may be some nighttime streams as well, but it will be live here on Living Split Screen. Again, we got to start treating Living Split Screen like a little bit of a television. You turn on one day, you're like, oh man, there's some gameplay, there's something live happening. What's happening? So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I've been doing it, but it's been a really good time. Fahim says, run from the Diablo Steel run. Hey, I did. But then I got him. I was trying to run it. He was wearing me out. I was tired. I was every time. But Pong. Yeah. Let's shout out the chat.
Let's shout out the chat because we got some people that have bought some single tickets as well. We got some super stickers coming in here on top of that. So listen, we got some people to shout out, everybody in the chat right now. Again, if you are lurking or listening to this in the future and you aren't live, so I don't get a chance to shout out your name, listen, all the same love and respect to each and every single one of you that joins us in any form or fashion, whether it's for 5 minutes or the entire show, for Living Split Screen. I love you guys. And so does Steel. And again, Absolutely. It's never expected, but always appreciated around here. And you guys know how we riff off of this stuff. So if you first time in the chat and you hear me do some craziness, listen, we're not out here grifting for subs, okay? We're not out here like channel. We make fun of that, but we have a good time with it, right? So you're going to hear me get a little wild right about now because, attention, ladies and gentlemen, aboard the Splitters Hype Train. Welcome aboard. We've been cruising along a nice, easy 2.0, but if you did notice the screen, Neil and I were having some big conversations, so we didn't get a chance to update you. But, of course, the screens aboard the train above your heads do update you from time to time. You might have noticed that we had the Sith Lord. And, again, we don't discriminate around here. The Sith Lord, the one and only Sith Lord, bought himself a single ticket aboard the Splitters Hype Train. So we added a car back there, and he was sitting alone for a little bit, but he got us up to a nice Mach 2.25 on a nice, easy Saturday morning. Choo-choo, motherfucker. Welcome aboard, Sith Lord. And then, of course, we had 80s cartoon villain show up on in here. Villain bought himself a nice little single ticket as well, which got us to a Mach 2.5 on this Saturday morning. Choo-choo, motherfucker. Welcome aboard the Splitters. I'm glad you're hanging out with the Sith Lord in that new train so he doesn't have to be by himself. Make sure both of you buckle up those 4-point harnesses. And this goes for everybody aboard the Splitters Hype Train. Always make sure those seatbelts are buckled down tight because we don't want to lose you when the speed picks up. And then we had a very generous $20 super sticker. That's right, a 20 bomb. Getting on the court with the easy 20 dunk. That's right, the Tanya. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Tanya?
Yes,
Tanya? Should we go
Tanya.
Tanya?
Yeah.
Tanya. That sounds better. Thanks. You'll never know nowadays, though. People spell things crazy. So, Tanya, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Thanks for being you was the super sticker. Thank you for being you and joining us. And then Tanya came through again with just another $1.49 bomb. Thank you, Choo Choo. Motherfucker, Choo Choo. Welcome aboard the Splitters Hype Train. Appreciate you. And, of course, the Tim the Sorcerer. Member for 6 months of the Horde of Wars. That's right. Comes through and says, hey, everyone, great gaming. Have a great gaming weekend. Thank you, Tim the Sorcerer. You too,
Much
brother.
love.
You too. Appreciate you. And of course, listen, he heard the hype train. He heard the announcements. So the one and only Decado comes through with a 10 bomb himself. That's right. He got on the court with a 10 dunk, dropped off that bag of coal, and got us up to a nice cruising speed of a Mach 4.0. That's right. We're going to give some extra credit for Tanya showing up with those super stickers in here. Ooh. That's right. We are at a Mach 4.0. Everybody, please, again, keep those limbs inside. Do not attempt to open the windows. You will lose something if you stick anything out these windows at this kind of speed. Pause. Don't let it happen. But thank you, Decado, and welcome aboard. 2 new cars full of splitters around here. Thank you so much, Decado. Appreciate you, brother, for being here. Now, let's get to the chat. East Side Vano, of course, is in the house. What's going on, East Side? Great to see you, brother, as always. Thanks for joining the show today. We got the Poison Maniac in here. Poison, what's going on? Great to see you. Grifting. Grifter is the new popular word, bro. I'm so sick and tired of it. Again, I hate the words are overused. It's a part of social media now. Words get overused and they lose all meaning. Like nobody knows what they mean anymore. Yeah, like a lot of things. Yes, correct. So it's just...
That's the one again. I just find it funny every time that people talk about it. And it was like, that's literally not how that ever was like meant or was supposed to be used. And it's been turned into a whole different galaxy.
Yeah, but there is actually a really, there is meanings on both sides that can be, but yes, it's overused. And again, I hate that. I hate the words that are overused. Anyways, I had the nieces and the kiddo dying though still because I started using Aura and Riz on them.
Oh, for real? Hey, you gotta
handle it, bro.
You gotta check out your aura, bro.
Oh, they could not handle it. My kid was like, the fact that you said it ruins it completely.
Hey, that's what it's about.
That's what parents are for, man. I said that's what parents and uncles are for, man. That's what we do around here. Anyways, it was great shit. Decado, of course, is in here. We got the Fahim Scott. What's going on, Fahim? We got the one and only Nixie. He says, I'm glad I don't pay attention to the word trends and if it's relevant. Yeah, Nixie is hard to avoid, especially, it just depends how much online you are, but you pick up on things that are the new fad. And that's what they really are, is fads, and everybody uses them. I hate it. I can't stand it. Nothing is organic anymore. It all becomes generated and created, and then everybody has to use it, and it's just, it annoys the shit out of the older guy in me. So, but anyways, every once in a while you'll hear me drop those words in here because I see them all the damn time. Rio, what's going on, brother? He says, good morning, fellas. 8-hour shift equals 8-hour podcast.
Probably not.
I don't think we have that in us today, brother. I just don't. We don't even have the news to cover 8 hours. I mean, Steele and I could probably bullshit for 8 hours. That would be a problem. Yeah, for sure. But we just don't have that kind of content, and we both got things to do today. For sure.
That is a fact.
So let's see who else. Again, Tanya's in here. Thank you so much for joining us, Tanya. We got the God Emperor Sofa King in here as well. Thank you, God Emperor, for joining the show today. We got the Rescue Squad Cope, of course, joining us. Thank you for being a part of the show. Tim the Sorcerer again is in here, as we already know. Oh man, we got the Joe Dunmore joining us this morning. Thank you, Joe. Great to see you. We got the Web Dave in the house. Hey, you can catch me and the one and only Mavo on Web Dave's show tomorrow on Sunday night. So be on the lookout for that. We will be joining him. I haven't been over at Web Dave's show in a while. I owed him a show, and I finally got to make it happen. So I'm looking forward to it, Dave. Cool. It's been about a minute since I talked to you, brother. I can't wait. Ron Slusher. What's going on? Ron Slusher, of course, coming in here and trying to ruin every game with his comments by saying Path of Exile 2 should have been a $40 5v5 hero shooter. deal. Ron loves to do that with every
Speaking
game.
of hero shooters, the best one is about to release called
Marvel.
Marvel. Marvel Rivals is releasing
It's
soon.
another
guys.
game this year.
I'm not gonna be able to play it right now. I'm good.
I'm gonna try it because I got to. But anyways, it's probably
if you end up loading it up, it won't be big. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out. Again, it's not gonna be something I hang on to, obviously, but whatever.
It could be something. Yeah.
What's going on? Oath says, Pong, don't know if you saw earlier, but PlayStation is not allowing the PoE 1 purchase to carry over to PoE 2. PC and Xbox will, though. Did PlayStation really, can they block that from happening? That's curious. I haven't seen anything about that, Oates.
What do you mean PoE option? Yeah, you gotta give me some clarity on it.
Yeah, so because I do know for a fact that some of so here's the deal. It is cross progression. It is cross play, like Steele said. However, your purchased items between console and PC will not work. Okay, that if you buy cosmetics on PC, it sticks to PC.
It's only going to work to PC. Yes,
right. However, PoE 1 cosmetics purchased will transfer to PoE 2. Now, they said in early access, some of them will not be available to you, but eventually they are planning on having all of the cosmetics and purchases from PoE 1 carry over to PoE 2. Some of them will work up front, some of them won't. I had not heard that PlayStation was specifically blocking all PoE 1 purchases from carrying over. That would be interesting. That would be terrible. Yep, that would be bad. But yeah, let me know, Oates, if you got a link to an article or anything like that. Let me know. Throw it in chat, and I will pull it up and take a read real quick.
Yeah, I see what you were talking about, Oates. He said according to streamers like Rax Stream, he may be wrong though. No, I think I remember hearing something about that. But we'll end up seeing how it plays out. Again, we'll also have to see if the transition from PoE 1 to PoE 2, the cosmetics and stuff that existed already are going to work in the first place. I know they say they will, but
they did say there's some that won't out the gate in early access. Yeah. So maybe that's where some of that's coming from. But GGG, because I know they just confirmed the other day again that was the case. But we will wait and see. But again, the fact that they're even trying to make that happen is dope as hell as far as GGG goes. Carrying over that shit for all the people who did invest in PoE 1, it's really cool that they did that. JB1521, what's going on? He says, I definitely bought early access to PoE 2. Looks good. Hey, man, you're going to be seeing some Path of Exile 2 on this channel. I can guarantee you that, because Steele and I are going to be rocking and rolling, man, for sure. Who else is in here? Harry Balzac. What's going on, Harry? Great to see you. It says 6 days until Indy. Yes. Indiana Jones is coming.
Hey,
we got confirmation. I don't know if it's a topic this week, but we got confirmation it's the biggest games Machine Games has ever made, and it's got over 4 hours of cutscenes. I saw people complaining about that. Bro,
why would you complain about that?
Why would you complain about this? This is an Indiana Jones game. I want a fleshed out story from Indiana Jones.
4 hours doesn't even sound long. But I mean,
it is long, but I don't care. That's what I'm going into. I want the story and how well they portrayed. Like we saw some of the cutscenes. Like I want this. Like that's kind of what I want out of an Indiana Jones game. So I'm not mad at all. So, but looking good. I will be diving into that day one, obviously. Who else we got in here? We got the Sly Crow. What's going on, Sly Crow? Great to see you joining the show. As always, brother, appreciate you so much. Thank you. Tubabu Kumi, of course, is in the house. What's up, Tubabu? Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you jumping in here. We got the Brett Bingham. Alice, what's going on, Brett? Always great to see your name popping in here, sir. We got the Sanchez MTZ Gaming. What is going on? Sanchez says the rookie mode is still difficult. I don't know, Sanchez. I haven't played it. I've seen other people. It does not. Okay. Are you still going to die in easy mode on Stalker 2? Yes, you will still die. But it's pretty damn easy. It takes away a lot of the survival aspects of it. That's what ACG was speaking to, especially. So, who else we got in here? We got Roadkill 8018 in here. What's going on? Great to see you as well. Roadkill, you're still saying that Stalker 2 is broken. It's not broken, brother. It has its bugs, but it's not broken.
Yeah, I don't know about, and again, I'm not playing.
I didn't see anybody. I've seen
people say that though.
I guess it's always going to be in the eye of the beholder, and everybody's going to have their different definition of broken.
I don't don't know if there's many definitions of broken. I just think people like to use words.
That's what I'm talking about.
Describe things.
Can you describe something? Like, again, does it have bugs? Absolutely. But can you play through the game? Again, and my hours into the game on Xbox, I didn't have any. I had one crash, right? And I know people on PC have had more crashes,
right?
And I know some people have lost some time. And again, I lost some time, I wouldn't be playing it, right? Because that's my one no. I would have waited had I lost any time. So Again, I guess, yeah. I mean, a lot of people say broken, but what broken to me is a game that can't be completed. And I have not seen that yet.
Okay.
Right? Broken to me is Cyberpunk 2077 on
release
last gen. Right? That's broken. Soccer 2 didn't have that.
Yeah, it was struggling on Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Yeah. But again, Roadkill, I again, there is criticism. They're not immune to criticism just because of the war. They still released a product that does cost money, so the consumer has the right to absolutely be critical of the experience, right? Again, you do have to take into consideration what the team went through. From my point of view, as a consumer, you should be educated when you purchase items, right? So you should understand that that's what they went through, that the game might not come out the way it should. But I look at a game like Jedi Survivor, and they had no excuses for releasing that game with the performance issues, right? They had none.
Yeah, Paul's not wrong. Jedi Survivor. I mean, again, you get to the first world, you get into the bar or whatever. It's choppy. And again, even on good hardware, like the answer isn't, oh, well, you should just upgrade your hardware. Oh, you should have a 4090, and you should have the best equipment in the game in order to play this game. That's not how this works. That's not how games are supposed to be made. And Jedi Survivor never said it was supposed to be the most next generational game that you've ever played in your life. And if none of those things are happening, there's certain things that shouldn't exist. The game's still released on console, right? And it had issues on console, right? And I love the game. I think Jedi Survivor is a better game than Fallen Order ever was. Yeah. I 1000%. It's night and day difference for me. And I think it's one of the best, and I do think for as cinematics and everything, I do think I like Cal. I like Cal as a character because of Jedi Survivor. Didn't really click with him in the first game, but the second game, I'm rocking with him.
I have to see if I changed my opinion of him.
I like him in the second game, but I'm not. Hey, for me, again, he's no star killer or anything, but for me, the possibility of him being more gray. And I don't know. We'll see. I like what they did story wise in the second. Right. And people said it was kind of predictable how things were going to kind of go. Yeah. Sure, if you want to put that into it, but again, overall as a game, Star Wars story with gameplay, I think it's pretty solid. But that's just me.
Yeah. All right.
That's just
fair enough. Again, I do have to. It's one of the games I have to go try.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It has no performance issues now. I mean, or not the ones that it had before. So I think you're especially for like if you can get it on like a Black Friday deal or a holiday deal for like.
I can play through EA Play.
$10. So. Oh, that's true. That's true. That is a fact. Never mind. So there's that. So you're good to go.
Good to go. Wacko Games is in the house. What's going on, Wacko? Appreciate you as well. It says I bet it gets a big graphic update after all the bug fixes. They could eventually do some graphic stuff for improvement on Stalker 2 for sure. I mean, again, there's stuff that I notice.
Mod support, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's going to definitely be a thing. I guarantee that. Yeah, they got a lot. The game's going to grow for sure. Game on, Jesse. What is going on? Game on, Jesse. Great to see you as well. Let's see here. What else we got? General Spartan 27. What is going on, General? Love to see you dropping in here, brother. Always appreciate you. Got the Niturnal. What's going on, Niturnal? Great to see you jumping in here as well. Thank you so much. I can think this as far as back. Let's see. Understanding. What is going on? Understanding wants to know what game is in the background, Steel.
Yeah, I was trying to see if what the heck the name of the game was.
Yeah, I didn't recognize it when I was watching
I don't recall the name of the game off rip. I just saw because I recorded some gameplay because I wanted to show people it because I thought it was kind of dope.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a race style kind of game, but you're more so like racing against the leaderboard. Like you just go through these trials and get through them as quick as.
Interesting.
Oh, it's called Xeno Runners.
Okay. And you got it because it reminded you of Iron Man, guaranteed.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I was like, damn, man, I really like the Anthem's Flying, and I wanted to see, bro. It's on sale right now for $1.99 on Steam.
There you go, $1.99, everybody.
$1.99. It is a really fun game. They've updated it since.
That's funny.
It's really fun to play. It has a bunch of different levels. It has some, it can have some difficulty, but as far as like a game that you could just sit down with and vibe out, it's a good experience. It has good music in it too.
Okay, because that's important when you're doing one of these games. Music is everything. Andrew Cullinane, I see you. He says Farm Sim 25 for life. Listen, bro, again, you can't deny the sales.
It's doing numbers.
You can't
still.
deny the sales, bro. You can't. Shout out to you for being in here. Appreciate that. And I think that's everybody. I think I got everybody in here. Appreciate all of you for joining the show today. And again, obviously, you guys know how we do it here. Steel, again, didn't get much game playing in this week, but so I kind of took up some extra time there talking about Stalker 2 and my Diablo experience and obviously Age of Mythology. So appreciate y'all being here this morning and being a part of the show. Because again, without you guys, just me and Steel BSing, man. So it's more fun with all
1,000%. And again, if there's any particular topics that chat y'all want to talk about, discuss, random questions, whatever the case may be more than welcome to throw those in the chat. I'll try to catch them as I see them. If not, we'll just kind of glide into some different topics. I do want to start with, I think me and Pong should be excited about this. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 surpassed 5 million players. Now, again, you can take that for what you want, but when they say 5 million players, that's 5 million people who bought the game. It's not a free-to-play game. It's not on Game Pass, any of that. That's 5 million people who played the game. So the fact that it reached 5 million players, I think is probably way outdid the first Space Marines expectations, right? Or even their expectation for what the game was going to do. And this at least tells me the content that I was hoping like the PvP will get, I think is going to be super dope. Right, especially for what people would probably consider more so an indie game, right? Again, it's not. I would say it's AAA quality, right? But this was a game that they put a lot of their buck into and probably had a lot of hope that they would do well. And I suggest anybody to please go play Space Marine 2 if you want to get back to the dude bro to shooter days. If you want to get back to that heavy feeling, good action, that visceral nature of and gruesome gameplay that we miss from like games like Gears of War, as an example, Punisher game from back in the day, even. This gives you all of that and more. The story is super dope as well. At least in my opinion, the way that they handle the 40K universe from a noob's perspective, kind of outside looking in, I think was done also super well in making you feel like you are a Space Marine, making you feel like Titus, even from the very beginning. The first hour of the game is outstanding. I mean, I think compared to any game released this year, the first hour of that game reminded me of the ending of Diablo 4. Right. Like that's how strong it was. Like it hits you in the mouth up front and say, hey, this is what the game is. So super hype on Space Marine 2. Glad it hit 5 million players. Super exciting. Can't wait for it to hit 10 million. Maybe more people will play it over the holiday because it is going to be on sale. Again, this gives them reason to market the game more, right? They don't have to rush into Space Marine 3. Flush this game out, have it be the multiplayer experience, because again, if you ask me, yo, Steel, what's a good third-person shooter I should play right now? I would tell you Space Marine 2. And they're only going to support it more because of this. Bone, do you have anything to say off the Heroes of Play Space Marine 2? Again, me and you played it. Co-op, full campaign, story. It's all on Living Split Screen if you guys want to check that out. It was an awesome time. All got commentary all through it. Badass time of a game. But yeah, man, how you feeling about Space Marine hitting those 5 million player marks? And again, that's 5 million sales, especially for Warhammer 40K.
It's a beautiful thing. It's kind of what I suggested. I thought was going to be kind of the track for this game, because once it hit 2 million, I said, I think this game's going to have longer legs than maybe some people expect. Now, you can look at, I've seen people bring up concurrent players on Steam and all that kind of stuff. And it's certainly, right now, it's, and I think it's like right on 15,000 players. Most days it's, between 8 and 10,000.
It's
like
a multiplayer. That's what's keeping the people there. And
that's what's keeping
PvE.
people involved. Yeah. That's what's keeping people. And again, it's not the most over the top multiplayer. Again, it's back to the basics game. So to see it hit 5 million is freaking amazing. Like you said, Steel, there's, it's not available anywhere. It really hasn't been on sale yet that I've seen, like any massive sale yet. So the fact that 5 million people have jumped in, this is huge. And for a Warhammer game, even bigger. There's not only does it show that Warhammer, again, they license out Warhammer to basically anybody who wants it, right? What's funny is on the heels of Space Marine 2 being this popular, Neocore, who did Martyr, is updating that, which is the ARPG Warhammer, right? They've done updating recently on that game, and I'm hoping that's going to mean that we're going to get a number 2 to that game. So Warhammer itself is now has shown to be a very viable IP, right? They've made so many games, but like this is going to take it to another level. They had a great CRPG come out, which most people here aren't going to play, but I now own because I got it finally on sale, a really good deal through Humble Bundle, I think it was. But Rogue Trader, which is a fantastic CRPG. I played it free to play days a couple months ago on Xbox when it was free to play. Holy shit, is it a great CRPG? So they are getting better and better quality games out of the Warhammer IP. So that is great. But overall, Steel, what this also does is for an industry that is trying to solve the problems of games being over too big of budgets, taking too much time, being bloated. This shows that the 360 era game can work in this day and age, and I'm hoping, Steel, that this opens the door for more games like Space Marine 2 to come back, bring back that 360 era, cut down the team size, cut down the budgets, cut down the time, but give us bro shooters, games that are made for a certain type of gamer, and you can still sell, and you can make money, and you can have everything that you want. And you don't have to appeal to everybody. And I think that's more important to this industry right now, to have games like this come out and succeed like this.
Yep.
So
I agree.
This is awesome, man. I think it's great. And like you said, Steel, what it means for this specific game to Space Marine 2 is that this team will continue that roadmap that they laid out. They'll probably have
additions. This is what they were waiting for. This
is what they were waiting for. So I think there is going to be investment in this game. I think there's a chance that, we get even a little bit more DLC than maybe they had originally planned. And I think that's all we can hope for. Because again, I still have it downloaded on the PC still. I'm still ready to rock and roll anytime you are. We got to go back and we got to do our last side mission. But
we just got to play the PvE content overall because they've updated that too since.
Yeah, they've updated that as well. I think it's great. And again, we had that little blip where they had nerfed some things in PvE.
They reverted it,
which didn't make any sense. And the community complained, and they went back and, like Steel said, reverted it back. So that means they're listening to the community. They understand what they have here, which is great. So yeah, man, I am super excited. And if we can eventually get a Henry Cavill-led Space Marine show on Netflix or Amazon or wherever, if we can finally get that, it has a chance to bump it, just like Fallout show did for Fallout 76 and for, just the Fallout series in general. I think Warhammer has a lot of ceiling left. This is a massive universe with a ton of lore that will appeal to a lot of people who miss the 80s, 90s style movies, games, etc. It's all there for the taking. And I think they understand that now. So yeah.
Yeah, super excited for me to see. That's the biggest thing on that. And I just wanted to give people kind of a reference. I tried to look up some numbers for Warhammer 40K just so you guys can kind of get a perspective. It looks like the latest high numbers that they have is for Warhammer 40K Dawn of War 2, which released in 2009.
Yeah.
And it said there was anywhere between 2 to 5 million players that got bought that, and it was the same thing for the first Space Marine. So obviously, it hitting somewhere between 5 to 10 million now, this early as well. And again, these games were out for some time.
God of War 2 was an RTS as well, so
yeah,
to give perspective.
There you go. First Space Marine came out in 2011. So again, you come out with a game almost 14 years later, 13 years later, and you do this. I think they got an idea of where, hopefully they got an idea. I think sometimes those answers seem to be a little bit more obvious than they may actually seem. Nixie does want to get our thoughts on Indiana Jones. He says expectations on how you think it will do critically and sales wise. Also, what's your hype level for the game? I'll let you start, Paul.
Of course, because you're going to be short answered here. First of all, a critical reception. We talked about this last night on Xbox Ultimate. And I'm sitting right now because Indiana Jones, first of all, is still a beloved IP, whether Steele thinks it's as big as it used to be or not, it's still a beloved IP. And I think the reception overall to the previews, to the showings that it have proven that to be the case, that Indy is still a beloved character. Again, am I claiming that he is in his prime right now with the last couple of movies? Of course not. He's not in his prime. But we Gen Xers are a massive group of people, and we are a massive group of gamers as well. So there is a large portion of the gaming population that does know who Indiana Jones is and who loves him to this day. And that nostalgia is going to play a factor here with the reviewers. Right. Not all the reviewers, but with some of the reviewers. I also think that because, and this is where Nixie will go sideways on me, but I don't care. Because it is now known that this is going to be launching on PlayStation as well come next year, that is going to cut down on some of the Xbox tax that obviously I believe in out there. I think that is going to play a role in helping this out. Now, do I think when it launches on PlayStation next year that it'll probably get reviewed better than it did on Xbox? Yes, I do believe that. Think so? That the DualSense, controller, people make a big deal out of hand sensations. I still have no idea why that is a thing, but there's people who absolutely claim that it makes their games better, and they will implement that. Plus, it will have all the fixes that will obviously come along for the Xbox version day one on PlayStation, so it will get reviewed better. But I think that everybody knowing that it's coming to PlayStation next spring will help this game's reviews as well. So commercially, or from a reviewer standpoint, I think it's going to come out at an 86. I'm sitting at an 86 right
86? Now. Okay. I mean, that's still pretty good. It's pretty darn
Which
good.
is pretty damn good. It could be a little bit lower because it is an immersive sim, and we've found that out through the previews. I don't know why people thought it was going to be Uncharted or Tomb Raider. I don't know why anybody had that impression from the previews. I kind of knew that this was going to be more of an immersive. Yeah, it's going to be more of an immersive sim, stealth, Steel. It's not going to be run and gun. It's not going to be nonstop adventure. It is going to be puzzling. It is going to be stealth. It is going to be that kind of thing, that kind of game, because that's what indie is. Indie isn't going full guns blazing, bro.
That's kind of what
like
I would
that's
expect.
it's going to be set pieces, like big set pieces, like we've seen already from the previews, because that's what the movies are, right? But I think that it could drop it a little bit if some people don't vibe with it. Again, Dishonored, although people loved it critically, Dishonored 1 was like a 70 something to reviewers. Like, it's crazy. Like, again, that game is way better than 70s anyways. And I think 70s are good, but it's way better than that anyways. So I think I'm settling in at 86 though right now. Again, plus minus 3, right? Plus minus 3. I'll give it the field goal plus minus. Okay. So that's where I think sales wise, who the hell knows and who the hell cares? It's on Game Pass. Right? Is it going to be the biggest thing ever on PC? I'm not expecting it to be the biggest seller on PC of all time. I think it's been fairly well. Pre-orders for Steam, I think it's charted a few times. But I think it's going to be this massive game? No, I don't think it's going to be this massive game. Although, do I think that a lot of people are going to try it out on their Xbox through Game Pass? Yes, I do. I think you will see potentially 8 million players played, 10 million players played. right, on Indiana Jones.
Mm.
I definitely think that's a possibility because it's available in Game Pass, and I think people are going to try it out. And like I said, there's a big group of us Gen Xers out here who still love Indiana Jones, even if it's not necessarily everybody's style game. I think people are going to download it just to get that feeling. And with 4 hours of cutscenes, like I was saying, that's what I wanted out of Indiana Jones. There's going to be a lot of story here to go along with the
Which is
gameplay,
important.
a ton, which is vital. And I'm super happy to hear that. And I think Machine Games is going to really prove themselves that they can pull this off. A lot of people didn't think they would be able to pull this off, a first-person Indiana Jones. I think when it's all said and done, people are going to go, yeah, they fucking nailed this. I'm really excited for this game. My hype levels are through the roof. I'm an old Indiana Jones fan. I can't wait. I'll be playing day one.
So
that's where
I think what I'll do instead, because I'll still give my thoughts and my opinions, although, hey guys, on this screen, we're obviously not in the right place at all, but that's fine. Because I found an interesting fact, apparently, that Troy Baker originally came out about, and let me get that centered on screen, but apparently Troy Baker originally turned down playing Indiana Jones because, but took the job because it wasn't about doing a bang-on impression of Harrison Ford. Now, his impression of Harrison Ford, y'all keep saying that he is doing pretty damn well, but he is saying here that he actually took it because it wasn't about doing like a exact impression of Ford. So could there be some liberties taken here for how he's took this approach to this character? Because I feel like this is kind of contradictory, and it's not a big deal. I just thought that this was funny.
because he did such a great job. Again, even as I was concerned about that, I am not a Troy Baker fan. Again, I don't deny his talent. Okay,
Right.
That again, I don't like the dude. He's like, again, there's oversaturation of Troy Baker. Okay, it's just for me, it's just like whatever, guy. But anyways, when I first heard it, you guys all know this. When we first heard it, he sold me within the first minute or two of him talking. Like, he did a good enough job to pass that test. Like, I was like, damn, he obviously put a lot of effort. For as much as he's saying it wasn't about exactly doing Harrison Ford, he spent obviously a lot of time perfecting his Harrison Ford impersonation, because he is close enough where, again, you say it passes, like when we say visuals pass the squint test, whether or not it's real, like you squint your ears enough and it passes the Harrison Ford test. Like it's damn good. And obviously they used Harrison's likeness. So it is a little weird statement still, because they took Harrison's likeness. Like, if you didn't want it to be a Harrison Ford performance, like, why would you use his likeness? Why wouldn't you just have a different style of indie? Right. Which is something that people were concerned about. So I think that is an interesting comment from him, but I still think that he did a hell of a job, and I'm impressed as an old indie fan. So
so the article goes on. This is from Games Radar. The article goes on to say Machine Games' upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, is shaping up to recapture the same thrills and sense of adventure from the timeless film series, albeit with less Harrison Ford. The title role is played by famed video game voiceover and performance actor Troy Baker, and as it stands, he sounds like a dead ringer for the Indy we know and love.
Yeah.
However, the lead actor told Games Radar that he initially passed on playing Indiana Jones because the role scared him and that he had doubts that he'd be able to pull it off. Also, one key developer in particular was especially doubtful that Baker could do it. He says, I originally passed on Indiana Jones because, truth be told, I was so scared that I would not be able to pull it off. Unfortunately, voice acting director Tom Keegan saw past my insecurities and encouraged me to put myself on tape for this still, said Baker. Over the last decade, Baker has become one of the most recurring and recognizable actors to appear in video games. His most famous video game roles include Joel, in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, Sam Drake in Uncharted 4, Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite, and the Joker in Batman Arkham Origins. Still, despite his portfolio of work, the proposition of stepping into the role of iconic Indiana Jones for the character's most fully realized AAA game to date took a lot of work. He said, we saw over 1,000 people for the role. And so not only am I in competition with all those truly talented people, but I'm also in competition with myself, he said. And the beauty of this is not about, can you make it a bang on impression? It's, can you help us feel like this is an authentic Indiana Jones? Because that's what the core of all of this is. Does this feel like it's an authentic Indiana Jones? He added that as the process went on, he was steadily won over. And then finally, there was a Zoom call with Machine Games team and also Tom Keegan and Todd Howard. And they said, we want to walk you through the story. And where I was nervous and insecure before, by the time they were done walking me through the story, I was beyond excited. And I went from, I hope I get this job, to I really, really wanted it. With that, I think that pretty much sums it up. That obviously he ended up being the right person for the game. That there was went through a slew of different people. Then 1,000 people is not a small amount of people, and they probably had Troy at the top, higher on their list anyway. And somebody heard something and put the bug in somebody's ear for him even to being put into consideration, and he has been in other games. So again, to their point, him being a recognizable voice and him obviously having the talent to, if his worry was, I'm not going to land the Indiana Jones persona. Again, I do have to agree with Pong. From what I remember about Indiana Jones and how the character looks, it's kind of irrefutable. Like, you can't deny that pretty much is the dude, right? The voice matches. No, it doesn't have to be extremely perfect. I don't think so, just to get it across. I just want to see if it's even going to catch the amount of people that I think the game is going to need to, for being obviously the amount of effort that they're putting into it. So, especially with the other forms of media that the IP has kind of fell flat on, maybe the game helps reinvigorate it, man. So, any last thoughts on the article as well, Paul?
No, that makes more sense that he was worried about that. And like Nixie said that, in the chat, Nixie, you're absolutely correct. He probably had the thought that if I screw this up, I'll never hear the end of it. And that's a fact.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He screwed up Indiana Jones and it was awful performance. Like, yeah, us fans would have come for him pretty hard. So pause. But anyways, I think that, I think that's probably a part of it. But again, it takes, as much as I don't like Troy Baker, again, I give him all the credit in the world. It takes a special talent to be able to pull that off, to get even this close to Harrison, because let's be real, Harrison Ford has a very distinguishable voice. Like, it is, you know it when you hear Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And so it is, like, that would be daunting to try to take on, even if that's your profession as a voice actor. Like, that would be very daunting to take on something that recognizable, and especially with an IP like Indiana Jones. So credit to him for the work he's done. That's why I gave him props right away. As soon as, like I said, a minute in to that first showing, I was like, okay, he sold me. This was great. He did a nice job here. So yeah, can't wait, man. I'm super hyped. You guys will be hearing me talk about it for sure.
But yeah, I mean, as far as my own personal opinion about Indiana Jones, to be quite frank with you,
don't care.
I just really don't care. I just, I have no interest. It's on Game Pass. Like, this is the thing that people say about Game Pass. Like, it's on Game Pass. You should try it still. You know what? I know what I like as a gamer too, and I'm good. I'd rather play Monster Hunter. I'm good.
You're hurting me.
There are so many other things that I would rather dive into than play Indiana Jones. Though I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it's quality. I hope it's great. If it was a third person, maybe I would be a little bit more inclined to play.
Third person. When you climb ladders and shit, it's third person.
No. Maybe I would be a little bit more motivated, but I'm cool. But it's going to be exciting to hear what you guys are thinking about it. Maybe you'll give me FOMO. We'll see. I just don't think I'll be able to fit it. I'm not going to be able to fit that in. So it is what it is. I'm not really here or there about it. I just hope that it ends up being a quality game. Because again, that's one of the biggest critiques that Xbox is going to continue to have, and seems to be a thing in some places in the industry as far as consistency goes.
From what I see, this will be the best Indiana Jones we've received in decades, which by itself will be a credit to this game. Like, the fact that we've had two terrible movies that have absolutely destroyed that franchise in a lot of ways, that we're going to get a video game in 2024 that actually brings it back to the classic indie and actually
that's
does
impressive.
it better than the movie. That is impressive. And again, I have utmost respect for what Todd, because Todd loves Indiana Jones. This was another one of Todd's passion projects.
Yes.
And he brought in, Spielberg and Lucas have supposedly been giving their ideas and opinions. Not that that's the best thing of all time, because obviously people change and not everybody can recapture the magic. But the fact that you have the two originals on the movies stepping in and giving some advice on the game as well throughout the entire process, it gives me hope as well. And it showed, like I said, that whole cutscene on the boat with the choo 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 choo.
Yeah,
that's Indiana Jones. That's old Indiana Jones to a T. And they talk about that in there was a Xbox Wire, and I didn't really watch it, but I saw clips of it, and obviously I've heard Mav talk about it now a lot. Xbox Wire, they did a whole nother behind the scenes with Machine Games, and Machine Games talked about that having the comedy throughout the game like the old movies did, and nailing that aspect of it was ultra vital to what they were doing if they were going to do this game. And like I said, what I've seen so far, they've done it. So I can't wait.
Hey man, I hope that the moment action is fantastic for you guys, and Xbox finally gets the movie game that everybody was wanted so bad. Except now it's in first person,
Yeah,
No,
those goalposts already moved, bro.
Oh, okay,
come on, man.
Okay.
This does not count.
Curious.
Come on, man.
I'm just curious.
Oh, plus it's coming to PlayStation, so.
Nixie, I definitely hear that. He says, I'm all in because Uncharted is my favorite Sony IP. I feel that. I have no interest to play Uncharted either. I'd rather play Tomb Raider.
But Uncharted is third person. You should play Uncharted at some point.
No, I probably should play Uncharted at some point. I know some of them did come
number
to PC.
Number two is goated, bro.
Well, I have to play one first, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you got to play one, but I'm just saying you should play that. I mean, again, you should try them because they are that good that I think you would enjoy them personally.
Maybe I'll try them at some point. Maybe I'll keep it. I'll keep it in mind. By the time I keep it in mind, I'll be playing so many other games. Are going to have so much of my time. It's going to be crazy. Hey, I'm in the point where right now where I'm just trying to buckle down. Like I know the games that I want to come up, that I want to settle with. So and again, I've always spoke to that too. So it's like now that there's these games that are coming out that are like, especially with some of the changes that are kind of happening behind the scenes. Again, I really do have a bug that from the beginning of the show, that I have a bug in the back of my head now that is like, maybe you should look into that. So that's also, I just was not expecting that today. That was really random and weird. So that's also like doing something funny to me. So it's even more reason for it to be like being able to come to something that I can depend on. Right. Oates says, LOL, steals, I'll keep it in mind, is like when your parents say, we'll see. Yeah,
exactly, Oates. Perfect.
No, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Steele is a parent, so he's got lots of practice in that.
That is true.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
I'll keep it in mind. I'll keep it in mind. No, but it is a fact. It is a fact, though. I definitely will keep it in mind, man. I did it with Mass Effect. Well, Mass Effect was a little bit different because they had a Legendary Edition coming out, and that did make a huge difference. El Nini says, "What up, LSS? What up, El Nini?
Hey, El Nini, great to see you rolling through. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that."
Crow says the animation department alone for Drake is worth playing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Again, when I'm playing, I'm playing games that are going to take time to play. I can't take away, my free time to now play Uncharted. But again, it'll be there. It'll only get better. I mean, at this rate, PlayStation is going to remake them all, so I think I'll be good to go.
They better.
I'll be good to go. If they remake them all, I'll be better off just waiting. Everything will be better.
Yeah. 1,000%. It'll be better. Just at some point, you should get your hands, obviously, on them. And obviously, again, 1 and 2 aren't available on PC. So, again, because it's PS3.
I thought they said they were going to release the.
They got the Thieves Collection, right?
Yeah.
The Thieves Collection is Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird as hell.
Yeah. Because again, PS3 games are a lot. I mean, they can't do anything because it's the processor.
Damn. I mean,
right? That's
for
why
some
we're
reason
finally
that's-
Konami teasing that they're going to finally get Metal
That's
Gear
whack.
Solid 4 over is a massive deal because it's been locked to PlayStation 3 because of how the development goes for those games for the
That's whack.
exclusives.
So I would rather just wait. If that's what it is, yeah, I would definitely much rather just wait. Yeah, they'll have to remake the game for me to ever play it. So there's that. Maybe they'll bring the multiplayer, and maybe I won't play that game either because they don't believe in the multiplayer all of a sudden in that game. Although apparently it was good in that one as well.
Yeah,
so
it was.
It doesn't exist anymore. So Weapon X says Steel is going to wait for the PlayStation 5 Pro of Indie and buy it to play. No, I'm not. But I see. I know that you're being funny, Weapon. I still don't have a reason to get a PlayStation either. But I might get a PlayStation 5 just for this game right here. This Light of Motiram. You guys hear about this game? The new hotness on the street, the one that is taking what the basis of Horizon Zero Dawn and transferring it into an action-based survival game. You guys didn't see this? Oh man, you guys didn't see this trailer.
I did.
Oh man,
Put it up.
Paul, did you see this trailer?
Of course I did, bro. I'm a Horizon fan. Give me Dinobots that I can go hunt. And you're going to give me a Monster Hunter version of that obviously Sony isn't willing to do. Instead, they're going to give us some cartoony Battle Royale version of Horizon or a Lego version of Horizon, but they're not going to do the obvious multiplayer Monster Hunter version of hunting dinos, robots, dinos. Like, yes, of course I saw this deal. I mean, is it a direct, obviously, I guess I'll use quote unquote ripoff? Yeah, even the main character looks like Aloy.
She looks better, but yeah.
Younger, better version of Aloy. Yes, that's what I was going to say. An Eastern version of Aloy.
Yeah.
Because again, it is Tencent. So yes, is it a direct ripoff? Of course it is, right? All right. So is Pal World, but they did something that Pokemon wasn't willing to do. Why not? Like Steele said, I'm having a hard time finding a reason to be mad. Because I definitely want to try this game.
I do too.
It looks so pro. It looks fun as fuck. The whole slow motion with you battling that big thing. All of that shit. And they look cool. And they've actually got different creatures too. Like they've had some creativity in here. It just looks freaking amazing. It really does.
You can ride the bots, you can swim in the water on the bots. Like this is the thing that I just find so unfortunate about how some of these publishers view their games and don't decide to dive deeper into them, right? I mean, we saw those leaks from Horizon some time back for the multiplayer game that they supposedly were doing they looked like they transitioned to like a Fortnite art style, right? I don't even think that some people may even consider that Fortnite art style. I don't think so, at least from the gameplay edits that you've seen here. This looks pretty damn good, like for a game that people are supposedly saying are a ripoff. Honestly, I think it's like almost paying homage to the game.
Look at those scorpions. The scorpions just look fucking amazing.
I really think that this is paying a homage to Horizon, if anything, in demonstrating, hey, look what else that you could be doing with your IP. If anything, if Sony actually understands how to make their game and to make it more appealing to more people, why wasn't this something that a side team wasn't spending? Why wasn't this in the idea? Why does the Eye of Sauron robot now have to exist in this game? When you didn't get those feelings, like why am I getting more feelings from this trailer than I did in my first 10 hours of Horizon Zero Dawn?
You have the team to do it, Steel.
And again, I know I'm more multiplayer focused, but guys, like even like nobody said that. So this is the thing, because I know a lot of people were slightly upset about this. They were like, oh, well, this is the precedent that Nintendo's trying to set to prevent people from making these things happen. Nintendo should definitely beat Power World. See, now Power World doesn't. Now other people are stealing different ideas. And it's just like the whole Breath of the Wild thing, right? Everybody compares any game that looks like that to Zelda. now because it did set a precedent. But I do think that it's dope taking the idea of mechanical Dinobots and just taking it a step further
with Monster Hunter weapons. Look at it.
In a Monster Hunter quote unquote type style, making it multiplayer.
Yeah.
I just don't see why I should be mad about this, right? So again, something a Horizon that I can now play with my friends, and we can build up a base and go hunt mechanical dino monsters and go into the sea, and this big dragoon looking thing jumps out the like. Why wouldn't I be excited about jumping into something like that? So right. I thought it was a positive, as much as it's seemingly a negative. I'm finding it hard to see the negatives in Tencent sometimes, because Tencent is obviously making investments in spaces that they know is impactful. Again, they are investing in FromSoft as well. Or Katakawa, I should say, excuse me. More because they're in the parent company. So obviously they have some people in there that understand or maybe have an idea of what the player base may. Now, what if this game ends up blowing up and being bigger than Horizon was?
Oh, well, it could. And you know it's going to be monetized to hell. So, I mean, again, people who don't like monetization.
What if it's not free to play? What if it's like a $40 game?
It could be, but I
mean, with cosmetics, it'll definitely have cosmetics.
It's mostly going to be monetized. I can see it already. Again, like the customization and the flight, you know, the different animals you can fly, like those dragonfly things and that kind of stuff.
That's a good point.
But still, to your point, yes. What whims of this turns into the games as a service that Sony's been hunting down, and it's obviously heavily influenced by one of their main IPs. Like, this is the stuff we talk about, though, Steel. That's why I said they don't have the team that can do this. That's why other people have to go do it, because Sony, again, back in the day, this is why I always say I'm the old guy that says back in my day with Sony. And it's not because I hate Sony. I love Sony. Again, PlayStation has been a mainstay in my life since they started with PlayStation 1. The problem being is back in the day, Sony would have had a team that could have done this, or they would have gone and found a team that could do something like this. The fact that it took Tencent to come along to create something like this, when this is a game that they should have been looking towards. Again, they've got Horizon Lego. They've got this Horizon Battle Royale Fortnite-looking game. Who in Sony didn't think that they could do a Monster Hunter style game when that's what Horizon is, but it's a single player.
It is so easy to see how you could make.
It's so easy to see it that why people would love to go hunt those freaking Dinobots in a Monster Hunter style game. Why can't you look over at Capcom? Sometimes I do think, Steel, besides the fact that they don't have internal teams, first party teams who even think this way, because they look at a challenge like that and say, that's not our style. We can't do that, right? It is also Sony's ego sometimes, and I think it's PlayStation's ego, and it's the ego within that corporation sometimes that gets the best of them, that they can't look at other companies like Capcom and go, shit, look at Monster Hunter. Look how big Monster Hunter is. Well, shit, we could grab a portion of that over on our fan base if we created a Horizon game that was like that. Like, I think sometimes they avoid looking at other influences and saying, yes, we could do that. Like, it's laughable because they're searching for games like this that could be successful. And I'm not saying this game is going to be massively. It could be terrible. It could be absolutely terrible. Yeah, it could be know terrible. The lifespan of games of service aren't good, but you make an exciting. People love the Dinobots like that. That's a fact. Like, if there's one thing, like even the people that hate Steel that didn't find any interest in Horizon, or that thought it was boring, or that think that Aloy is boring.
But it's just,
but the Dinobots are dope as fuck. There's without question. Yeah. I see those things and go, they look like Dinobots. Cool, they look like
I like the way the T-Rex looks. Stuff is super dope.
Yeah. Alligators, all of it. So why would you not consider that as a game? Like, it's weird to me, but again, when I saw this, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, first of all, well, obviously I saw it and I was like, even the colors, everything is straight up Horizon. I was like, Jesus. But then I saw the color palette. Yeah. Then I saw the gameplay and I saw all the different monsters that they're creating, and I was like, fuck yeah. You know, all the different environments. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh hell yeah, they're combining a lot of things. And then I saw the one-on-one battles, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking Monster Hunter. Like that's of course it is, and you're gonna make it multiplayer. Great, I'm all in. I think this looks awesome. I can't wait to see more on it.
Yeah, Nixie, I know you're being funny. He says, Steel says, I like Dinobots, but it's on damn PlayStation, JK. I wish it was that simple, man, because when I played Horizon Zero Dawn, it's just so unfortunate the game didn't click for me. Aloy is okay as a character. I definitely wish she stood out more and made me care a little bit more. I do like how the game initially starts, but again, it's the moment-to-moment gameplay. It's funny how people say that they don't like Ubisoft games, and then when there's games that Sony releases, Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon, that essentially literally take that formula, except put it in their world. It's extremely annoying. Right, because it's the same thing that worked on me for Ghost of Tsushima, and Ghost of Tsushima is also very Ubisoft-like, right? Again, games that you guys say that you don't like this about open world games, but these games are held so critically high for some people. And again, Herman Hulst has been supporting this game and treating it like it's his baby, but doesn't see that this type of idea should have existed. Although they have leaked character art of the characters in a similar style, of course, and again, like I mentioned earlier, it was more reference towards the Fortnite style, but still, obviously, you saw a direction that it could have gone, and anybody who plays Horizon, that's the thing about people who play the games versus people who just talk about them. I'm not saying that the game is trash. Can't even say that the game is bad. I don't think that it appealed to me, and I can't even say that the story was bad, right? I can say that it didn't pull me in. I did see where it was going. I like the idea of Aloy possibly being a clone. I don't know if that's what ended up being the case. Again, it's not a spoiler alert for me because those are things, context clues and things that I did hear from other people, like, oh, there's possibly these types of things going on. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting concept, but for whatever reason, the character isn't speaking to me. And is it because she's not the most attractive character? I don't think Aloy looks bad as a character. I also don't think she looks cool either. You know what I mean? In a game like that, I would have preferred Aloy to have been a little bit cooler of a character. It's not supposed to matter what the character. No, it doesn't matter. But I'm talking about just for me as a preference because I like badass characters, right?
I'm joking.
Oh yeah, okay,
that's the thing that people say.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and good point, because people do say, hey, you shouldn't care about that and that shouldn't matter. But again, in a single player focused game where you're forcing me to play as this character, like, again, she didn't have to be the cleanest character. She didn't have to be the most attractive character that you ever played as either. But again, I do think games like Heavenly Sword, as an example, can demonstrate Hellblade as an example. Senua doesn't look attractive, but she does look cool for the setting that she's in. She does fit that world. When I'm playing as her, I'm like, oh man, she's a badass. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I like when games do that and understand that. And I think that's the thing that stands out to me about this game. Even though you're gonna have your own custom character in here, even the character that they show you feels more attuned with the world that is there. If it just makes more sense, like, okay, that character looks kind of cool, man. Along with them flying different, it's just those things do tend to matter. I am very picky about those things as well, right? And I speak to that all the time.
Yeah, which you should be. You can be. Yeah. Again, it's just one of those things. Fahim says, gridlock, snarl, swoop, and slag. Who disagrees, Pong? So exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what they remind me of, bro. It reminds me of Transformers. Of course, they don't transform, but that's what they remind. It's perfect. Like it's a dream game. It's a dream game. Oh my God. Steele said Aloy needs a shower. Confirmed. Jesus, Nixie. Day Reezy, what's going on? It's because everyone knows Aloy is for the streets. Jesus. Easy.
She is.
Oh my God. Speaking of Tencent, I just dropped it. It just happened, or it just got reported. Steele.
Wow.
Not a big deal, but they purchased a majority stake in Kuro Games, which is your Wuthering Waves studio.
A majority stake?
Yep. They say that they're going to continue to operate independently, of course, as Tencent always supposedly does in the shadows. But they did buy. It just got announced that they now own 51.4% controlling stake in the company. So.
Well,
Yep.
on the influence side of things, I do hope that it's not extremely impactful. Again, I'm still going to tell people, I know people are like bigging up Zenless Zone Zero. That's great and all. And some of y'all are just some freaks. And that's okay too. You do your thing. I'm not going to judge you. But
Judge me all the time.
Wuthering Waves, I don't judge you. I just say that it's just not it's not a thing for me. I think again, you can wear, you have your preferences. I think you can wear clothes and still look pretty.
There's a new one coming out, Girls Frontline too, by the way, Exilium.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Everybody's waiting on this. This is going to be a game.
I bet they are. But I would still tell anybody, if there's a action adventure gotcha type game that you will be playing or that you should play, it is going to be Wuthering Waves. Hopefully Tencent allows them to get some additional capital. And again, Wuthering Waves isn't struggling money wise. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. Again, that's the only negative that I have against Wuthering Waves or just gotcha games in general, is that feeling when a character comes out, you having to spend money on the game to get that character, right, I think is weird. And the fact that you could spend $100 on the game and still not get that character is weird. And and they're expecting for people to do that every time a new update drops, right? Or every time a new character drops, which is typically every couple months or so, or every month or so, I believe. I don't remember the exact strategy. I think it's more like every 3 months or so they drop a new character in. And for me, I have value in games and I don't mind reinvesting in the games that I believe in. But when you blatantly demonstrate to me that you don't care about my time or more so my dollar, that feels weird. I would rather be able to earn characters through. Sure, it might take me more time, but if I'm willing to put a little bit more time in versus somebody who's paying to win, essentially, I would. And again, that's what makes Wuthering Waves kind of cool as well. It's more a skill-based game than it is about paying to win. You still can pay an absorbent amount of money, especially with the upgrade trees and everything that they have for the characters, because it does have depth to it. But I also think that is also a negative to the game. I almost wish that the game had two different versions, right? They had a version, maybe even make it single player to where you can earn all the characters, and then a multiplayer version, maybe you could pick a character, a couple characters, a main team that you would like to carry over into the multiplayer version. And then, from that point, you'll have to earn whatever other characters that come out. But at least that you have an idea of what is in the game, how these different characters play. Even when a new character drops, they drops it into the single player. That way you can experience it. And it's not like they don't do events so you can play as those characters. But again, that's their whole strategy. It's a free to play game. I still will tell anybody, if you're looking for a gotcha game that you can get 100 hours into and feel like you got 100 hours worth of an experience for completely free, that was untapped, that has untapped potential and has a really bomb ass main character that they continue to make better as well and will continue to be balanced as well. Wuthering Waves, I'm telling y'all, man, it is the game to play. And I do hope that Tencent allows that development, because it is supposed to be coming to PlayStation 5 next year. That was announced. I did see that announcement this week. Kuro came out and made that announcement that they do plan for PlayStation 5 to be ready, and apologize for it taking so long and everything. But again, it's definitely one of the better anime-esque style action games that are out there. So shout out to Wuthering Waves. I feel like there was something else that I had on there that we were about to slide into, but I don't know. I guess not. Oat says at least Tencent keeps shit multiplayer. I think they even have a stake in GGG. They might. I don't remember seeing that, but they might. Laura Master Jasper says operating independently just give us all your user data. That's the only. That's the thing about it, man. And they obviously understand. They know how to. Although again, at this point, if you're worried about people getting your data, it's probably too late. You know what I mean?
It's already out there.
Especially if you carry a cell phone with you every day. Decado says, still going to play Project Mugen. Project Mugen has actually just been renamed to Antara or something like that. I thought the name was really weird. which if you guys aren't, let me see if I can get a video of Project Mugen up on screen. But it was an open world action adventure anime-esque game. It has Wuthering Waves type combat where you can parry and all the good stuff in there as well. But they got their official name this week, and I wanted to find out what the name actually meant. And apparently, it's called Anna Inanta. It's apparently, when I looked this up, it's supposed to mean like infinite. So we'll see what that means. But I think this game is supposed to have open world traversal in it. There's another game that's like this as well. This looks more like Zenless a bit too in its art style, but let me see if I can pull this up on screen. I thought it was going to be a little bit more gameplay in that one. Let me see if I can show you guys a different one. I'll show you the one from a year ago.
Yeah, just to answer that question, dude, GGG is owned by Tencent, so
it's owned by Tencent. Okay,
yeah,
damn.
Yeah.
I mean, they've Tencent's allowed GGG to operate how they want. So,
and that gave them the resources to keep expanding Path of Exile 1 and now develop Path of Exile 2. So again, it looks from all appearances, of course, it's monetized to hell. Again, they have a $500 early access package. Like there's no doubt that, Tencent saw the viability in, but again, that's one of the reasons why this team has been able to do what they do and stay as small as they have, and they got the resources. So it's nice. I mean, again, they've only got like 100, I think they're just over 100 developers on that team.
Yeah.
So
100 is like 120 plus. Yeah. I think they're under 200. But yeah. Some Fahim was asking what's Wuthering Waves. Yeah, it's a action. It's an anime-esque action adventure game, open world, but it is technically in the gacha genre, just meaning that you are rolling for characters.
Yep.
It is a casino style system. You cannot play every character in the game for free. There's characters that are going to come out that you will have a chance to get, and you're not guaranteed to get that character. That's how it's a free to play game though. Naked Rain is published by NetEase. Naked Rain. What is that?
Fahim, GGG is Grinding Gear Games.
Yeah, Grinding Gear Games. Yeah.
Developers. Yeah. They just go by GGG. So it's just easier.
But yeah, so Anata or Antana, which is known as Project Mugen. That's the game I'm displaying for you guys now in the background. Has open world city mechanics. You can drive GTA-esque things, combat heavy, combat focus, shooting mechanics, all kinds of different stuff. It looks like another dope game. Maybe it has some good multiplayer in there as well. So another game to keep on people's radars for people that are interested in that. I know I am. I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So call it what you will. What else do we got here? Xbox is planning to see games via Android app delayed by court order. This was quite interesting, I thought. Let me pull that up on screen for you guys. It says Microsoft Sarah Bond says functionality is ready to go, but Google claims platform holder is choosing not to launch it. This came off the heels of recently Xbox was essentially activating 50 games that are now available from your catalog through cloud, right? This has been a strategy that Xbox has been working on for some time. And I think if they can truly get your back or your entire library working even just through the cloud, that is going to be a very positive step in the right direction, because you know what that says? Even though it's through the cloud, even though it's not perfect, that demonstrates that it can be done. And I think that aspect of it is more important than people just having the idea, oh, well, it's cloud and cloud isn't for me, and who wants to play cloud games? And look, I understand the limited mentality that you could have on that. I don't think that is the future, because again, I don't think internet quite yet is where it needs to be for that to be the best experience that you can get. I also don't think it's trying to be the best experience. It's just trying to give people more ways to play. But do you think that me, as somebody who is I would consider myself an avid gamer, wouldn't have that as an option if let's say we're traveling? It could be. Would it still be the best available option? No, but that's why they come out with a handheld device, and also through this are able to demonstrate to the board, to the R&D team, that, hey, we can start connecting more of our ecosystem together to give our players more access than ever before. And I think that I think that that's just the goal of this anyway. And then we've spoken to that. But this article is done by James Batchelor. It goes in to say Microsoft's plans to enable Android users to buy and play console games via the Xbox app have been delayed, seemingly due to the ongoing legal dispute between Google and Epic Games. In a thread on Blue Sky, Xbox President Sarah Bond said the company is unable to launch this new feature due to a temporary and administrative stay recently granted by the courts. Bond previously announced that Xbox players would be able to play and buy games directly from the platform holder's app starting in November, and that this would begin on Android devices in the US, which is also, again, Android is one of the most open platforms. So again, if they're able to get this to work, it's one of the most used platforms as well. Let's just be real. I know iPhone is out there and that's a big one, but again, that's not the main door that you need to break into, because most people who buy phones, especially if you're talking about for the future, if you're not getting it through a Verizon, again, there's a reason why places like Metro exist, Cricket exist, all these other companies outside of your mains exist, although they still do go through the big ones. You have to be able to open that market, and an easy way to get into that market is through the Android side of things. So interesting to see that they're ran into a little bit of a snafu. But they go on to say, our team has the functionality built and ready to go live as soon as the court makes a final decision, she wrote yesterday. We are eager to launch and give more choice and flexibility to players. The temporary stay appears to be from the Epic Games versus Google case, where the Fortnite firm triumphed in a jury trial last year. As a result, Epic's win. The judge ordered last month that Google open up its marketplace to other app stores and no longer require developers to use Google Play, entitling the company to 30% cut of all transactions. This was due to start on November 1st, but Google appealed and appears to have been granted a temporary stay before it makes changes to its mobile ecosystem. In a statement to The Verge's own report about the Xbox delay, Google spokesperson Dan Jackson said, Microsoft has always been able to offer their Android users the ability to play and purchase Xbox games directly from their app. They've simply chosen not to. The court's order and rush to force its implementation threatened Google's Play's ability to provide a safe and secure experience. Microsoft, like Epic, are ignoring these very real security reasons, and we remain focused on supporting an ecosystem that works for everyone, not just the two of the largest gaming company. Now, them saying Microsoft has always been able to offer their Android users the ability to play and purchase Xbox games directly from their app, and they simply have chosen not to. I don't know whether that's true or not. To my understanding, that this is something that they've been working on, but had not been in a place to where they were satisfied with it, or it worked as intended.
The problem is the billing. The problem is the billing system.
Okay.
That's the problem that everybody has with Apple and with Google, is that they may force you to use their billing system to make purchases, and then they take their 30% cut. Tim Sweeney actually came out and responded to Tom Warren's post about this, right? And he said Google's statement is deceitful. Shame on them. They well know that the 30% cut they demand is far more than all of the profit from game streaming. They know this because they blew hundreds of millions of dollars building the failed Stadia game business themselves.
That's a good point.
So that's where the issue with Apple and Google storefronts are, is they force you in. Well, now Apple also is not as open as Android and doesn't want foreign apps on their store either. Yeah. So that's a whole separate issue with Apple too. But they do, any that go on there are forced through their Apple billing. They take their cut. That's where this fight with Epic and Google is that cut and being forced to use that billing system versus the rest of it. Instead of being able to use your own and keeping that. So that's where this battle really stems from.
I mean, so them flipping it into Microsoft has always been able to offer this. Yes. Again, but this kind of tells you that they're like, but it's not that simple like you're trying to make it. Like, it's not just something that we was just working as intended, and that there was no middlemen keeping it from happening. Like, come on, man. Like, It's just weird how that's stated like that, but nonetheless, because it does come across, and I did see people kind of running with that as well. It's like, oh man, again, look at Xbox has the ability to do these things, and Xbox doesn't want to do it. And it's like I don't. The way that I understood that when I heard that this week was like, that's not what I think happened, right? Why would they just, if they had the option to give that to you, why would you not have the option to do it? Again. I could just be being a fool, but at the same time, I know there's other things at play, and I know Google wants to be in the gaming market. And again, just because you weren't successful with Stadia doesn't mean that you got to take it out on anybody else. But that's neither here or there. Nixie says Apple on Google want to control the cut. Apple is dying on this hill because the services, not hardware, is their core business. Dakota also says Windows Phone would allow a Sony app as well. Yeah, I mean,
man, too bad there's not a Windows Phone still around, man.
Maybe they bring it back.
They could. There's bigger issues. This is a temporary bump in the road for Microsoft and Xbox. Google's got bigger issues because there's a bigger DOJ case against Google. Now we'll see if that changes with the new incoming administration, if that goes away. But like I said last night, it's not just the US. They got the EU to contend with, and the EU's, going after both Apple and Google as well. And in fact, they're being a little bit more strict about a lot of their stuff over there. So Google's got bigger issues here because DOJ wants to break them up. They want their search functionality, the Google search engine, to be separate. And they also are talking about breaking Android out. And if that happens, then there may be room for Microsoft to jump back into the phone game again. So there's a lot of bigger issues at play. I think this is a temporary setback. There's no guarantees here. The mobile market is a duopoly. But even in the gaming side of things, we heard some of the numbers coming out from Capcom with Resident Evil being on Apple. Like, nobody bought it. It was like literally like 50,000 copies.
Yeah, well, I mean, because again, why would people buy it? Yeah.
Right. So there's no guarantee here. Microsoft and Xbox want in on that storefront, and they're going to try, and they're one of the people that have enough money to be able to compete with those two and actually make a dent. But overall, there's no guaranteed success here whatsoever. But it is a part of their strategy, and they got to try it. But I think right now this is just a speed bump, and I think this is just temporary. I don't think they're going to be able to hold this, this pause right now. I don't think Google's going to be able to hold it for very long. And I think that eventually that they will get, that Microsoft and Xbox will get their way and be able to put their storefront up into Android and take their cut using their pay system, get the full cut versus giving some of it to Android, so to Google. So yeah, I think this is temporary, but it is interesting that they had to put a pause on it right now. But it's to be expected. It's a court system. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, Dakota says I imagine we will probably see a phone again from MS before this is all over. If the handheld market ends up working for them, if that is literally the next thing that they end up creating, at least as an option, I don't see the phone being far away from that at that point, right? Or at least offering it as an additional option. Maybe you don't make a whole lot of them. The only reason that I bring that up is because the aftermarket scene just for phones in totality, where it's not a specific branded phone, or modular phones as well, are becoming more of a thing to where you can just replace certain aspects of your phone. Like that was also one of the phones. I forgot exactly what it was called because I hadn't been looking in that stuff for quite some time, but there was this modular phone where, like, if you wanted a better camera, you don't go get a new phone. You just go get the piece and replace it with that new camera that you wanted to put it on there. Hey, if you want a better battery, you would just remove the battery and replace it with a better battery, right? It was all modular. You didn't even have to take the phone apart, right? It just came at pieces, and then you get a case for the phone for you to keep the phone together. Or hey, if you wanted to charge it with something different, you take that part off, replace it with whatever you see, lightning, whatever it is, you could do that. I do think that is the future of phones, and I would like to see that become more of a viable thing, potentially. But who knows? But I do see that the aftermarket side of things, and that's what makes this tough as well, because Android definitely has that, and because Android is Linux based, it does make it a bit more versatile to be on more devices versus Windows. Microsoft would need to definitely get that side of things right. And I don't think, from what I remember from the Windows Phone, that the operating system that they had on there was bad, from what I can recall. But again, I never got to play with it like that. Yeah.
Oh, it was one of the easiest used phones out there. It was fantastic. It was, again, I miss it to this day. I used one for a short period. Now I was kind of Android biased back then, for different reasons, because obviously they had a ton more apps because the Windows Phone was not supported by third-party apps that way. And of course that was back when, Android was really gaining popularity. We were into smartphones, and it was like, holy shit, I can download all these stupid apps that I'll use once, but my God, look at all these different things I could do with my phone. And Windows didn't have that type of support, right? That was one of the massive problems with Windows phones, is they didn't have the third-party support. It wasn't as easy to develop for. Now, they were tried, but it wasn't as easy to develop for as Android was. But the Windows Phone in general, usage, still the tiles were one of the greatest setups for a phone ever that you could have. And it was such a clean look to a phone. Like, to this day, it's still one of the best. That's why you see Jez and others reminisce about the Windows phones and how much they love them, because there was a lot of goodness to those phones. And obviously Satya says it's one of his biggest regrets that he got out. He shouldn't have.
And maybe that gives them the door back in, and they connect devices in many other ways. Because again, that would be an additional selling factor, especially for as a gamer. Sell it to gamers first.
Didn't work. They got out again. They tried with the Surface Phone, right? So, yeah. And that was a clean product. Again, it really was. But maybe, Steele, maybe to your point, with all the work that they're doing right now, to engineer, for an Xbox handheld to get that experience, maybe it will, because obviously it's going to be Windows based, right? Especially if it's going to be native, right? If it's going to play games natively, they're engineering a whole new version, basically, which is going to be a mobile version of Windows, again, for the handheld to be able to run that stuff. Maybe through that process, they do figure out some of what initially caused the problems with the Windows Phone, and maybe Satya does greenlight a phone division again, and they jump back in with this new version that they've kind of made through the process of coming up with a handheld gaming device. Maybe that translates very well to a mobile device, like you were saying, and they come out with their own version, and it's not based on Android. Maybe they do come back with a Windows Phone specifically, and they find some success there, because I think people are looking for something different again. I don't think obviously, I'm not talking about taking over the market between Apple and Android. That they're locked in, right?
The next big thing. What's the next?
But there was a time, and people you can laugh all you want, but there was a time when BlackBerry was the most used.
I love the BlackBerry
phone in the entire world.
I love my BlackBerry.
BlackBerry was too big to fail. BlackBerry was the most secure phone on the planet, and there was no way companies were ever going to go away from BlackBerry. I was in the phone industry during the downfall of BlackBerry, so I know firsthand all the arguments pro and against, and all the people that were saying BlackBerry ain't going nowhere.
They didn't innovate.
People use smartphones. They're not going to let people use these Apple phones on company, with company information on them. They're not. Where's BlackBerry today?
Honestly, BlackBerry was probably one of the main. BlackBerry going away was probably one of the biggest reasons why iPhone was able to move into that space, because it was almost like, I'm not gonna say it was a direct translation over to iPhone, but iPhone became the new big thing. Right? It became, it's secure, it's viable, it's easy to use, for my companies, I can keep everything together, and there's all these other different great features that Apple has, especially coming into the phone side of things, and then making that transition to touchscreen phones. I mean, again, it was things just made too much sense, man. But yeah, I love my BlackBerry. That was definitely one of the best phones that I ever had. Being able to slap that slide keyboard, I love the keyboard on that BlackBerry. I still want that feeling today. They have attachments for your phone where you can get a slide out keyboard if you really want to.
I still miss my Palm. Palm OS.
The Palm Pilot.
Palms were fucking, that OS was amazing back in the day, bro. Like
Especially for the time.
Palm. Yeah, for the time, absolutely, man. Palm made some great ass phones. So
yeah, Jasper, satellite phones. I don't know, because he says Starlink phones are the next big thing in the phone space. I don't know if satellite type phones. I mean, again, I know that it's going to be interesting to see how that gets translated over, because again, we're putting more stuff into space. When do these things start interfering? Do we start using
it's a drop in an ocean, bro. That's the thing people don't realize, because we see graphics of all the satellites surrounding Earth. But when you're talking about space and the size of Earth, like, graphics give us this false sense that everything's crowded up there. Literally, the Starlink satellites are a drop in an ocean up there. Like, they're like a rock, a pebble, dropping it into a lake.
What I'm thinking of as well is, what do they end up doing with the TV satellites? Because I mean, that's kind of going away a bit. So is that something that you transition over?
Transition over, or they just drop them into the ocean?
That's true.
I need it anymore.
That is true. So maybe you don't, because they're too old now.
Yeah, the tech, whether or not they can be still used, it depends on the tech and the inside. Some of those things have been up there for a while.
Satellite phone, having the ability for your phone to connect to a satellite instead of connecting to a whatever tower, definitely would be more convenient. I don't know what all that's going to end up taking. I really don't.
Yeah.
And then you're putting a lot of power into certain people's hands at that point. But again, it's not like they don't have that power already. So I guess it is what it is.
Hey, one solar flare, it's all gone anyway. So what does it matter?
I think with satellite though, it'd be more, well, no, because solar flare would take out the satellites. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then you would be dependent on somebody in space reactivating the satellite at that point.
Or they're fried.
Or they're just dead.
And then we're back to shortwave radio.
Yeah. So maybe we should just stick with the towers. Maybe we stick with the towers and just go with that. We could get those back online if we need to. That's so fucking funny.
Yeah, Nixie, the big brick phones were cool as hell, man. I still love it. I look at classic cars all the time, and I look them up for sale and shit. And you'll find back in the day, like the Mercedes and stuff that came with the actual phones in the car, and they're still in there. It's retro future shit retro tech just appeals to me so much. So yeah, it is dope as hell. And I see people selling them online too all the time with the actual case that came with that you had to carry around. And it was like $100 per minute, literally, to make a phone call. Like, it was nuts.
Jasper, see, we gotta have somebody from space come tell us about the real. He says TV satellite are in the geo, they don't crash down. We push those into the graveyard orbit when done with those.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that works.
There we go.
Hey, the more you know.
Space Force in the house. Here we go.
That's more of the stuff that I definitely want to, because that's the interesting things. Those are the interesting things for sure. Because the internet's only going to get better. I don't know how much better it's going to get, or how versatile it's going to become, but I goddamn hope that it breaks through this monopoly bullshit that we have currently. I need more options. I'd fucking somebody give me a different option to where I can get a better upload speed. I should have a gig up and a gig down. Point blank period. There shouldn't be, I get a gig up and I get 30 megs down, or I get a gig down and 30 megs up. That just fucking makes no sense. And that's the highest I could get. It just makes no sense.
We'll get there.
And fiber optics isn't available everywhere. So there's that as well.
We'll get there.
Hey, we need to put more shit underground. Put all our fucking wires and towers and shit underground.
Oh, for sure.
Fuck. They need to do that tomorrow. Where's the bill for that to happen? God damn it. Hey, in Florida, you know the biggest way you can help him impact all these other like islands in Florida places? Put everything under fucking ground. Just put it underground. If you want ever have to worry about that shit again, everybody would just have power.
All wet. It's all wet.
Nah, I bet it is. I'm all wet. Nixie says, bring back wearing collars over your suit jacket too. Nixie, I also saw you write that you were 88 in chat. You are not fucking 88. Why are you lying to people? There's no goddamn way with the attitude that you have. There's no way that you're 88. There's no way that you could tolerate, that you would be able to tolerate all that. Maybe
38.
you do. Oh, he's 38. 38. Yeah, I guess he corrected it. Or maybe.
No, I'm just guessing.
Oh, you're just guessing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that's definitely some next level shit if that was really the case. 38, I can see you a good 38. Fahim says, imagine Paul holding one of those Zach Morris phones to his head. I'm out.
Oh yeah. Bro, I had a beeper. I had the pager, brother. So again, I lived through all of that. Now, I never was anywhere as close to being rich enough to have a bag phone because again, they were literally $100 plus a minute. Like it was, you had to be ultra rich, and I was no. But I had my pagers. I went through all that. Saw people carry them around. Right? I remember seeing people with phones for the first fucking time. It was nuts, man. And they looked like, basically what they looked like was our cordless phones at home. It just looked like people were carrying around their cordless phones with them. Like that's what it looked like. But it was nuts when they first started becoming a thing. Like, yeah, that was a time, man. Like it was like, oh shit, look at the dude's making a freaking call outside. Like what? Yeah.
Hey, yo, yeah, Lydian, pages were the shit too. Page me, bro. Yeah. Just hit my pager. I got you.
Yep. Decoding all of the shit, man. We had to decode what people were saying to us, man. Yeah, it was something.
Vandal says, the graveyard orbit? ? We are littering in space now. The universe hates humans. We leave trash everywhere we go.
Of course we do.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest flaws, that we haven't found a way to. It takes all these unique people being born or just over time to come up with ways to turn plastic, for an example, into a usable gas or an oil. Well, it's so crazy. You know what's funny about that? You want to get into some real conspiracy theory type shit, the type of shit that is held back because of how much it would innovate and how fearful people are for that type of innovation to be introduced into the world, or how much they want to limit us as
money in
as
it.
people.
Still.
Yeah, there's just like money. We can have free power. Apparently,
we could have
with the power of magnetism, as an example.
Tesla had it all figured out. That's why they.
What happened to that?
One of the reasons why they did. That's one of the reasons why.
Huh, what happened to that? Huh? Damn. I got a high ass power bill.
Oh, the Tesla story is freaking, because again, he died alone in an apartment in a hotel room, basically, all by himself. But he had all his works there. They hadn't even removed his body. FBI was down the hall from him, monitoring him. And when he died, they came in and swooped up all of his work and took it all and cleaned him out before the body was removed. They came in and left his body there and took all of his works.
Hey, man. You know, all this great stuff that we have, and and we're stuck being living in what feels like the steel age sometimes. Anyway, no puns intended. All right. The last bit of big news that happened this week as well was Shuhei Yoshida retiring from PlayStation. Now, he had been there for over 30 years, right? But it is ironic, right? Jim Ryan retires, Shuhei retires. I would say Shuhei is definitely more of an influential figure, more of an important person than Jim Ryan ever was. So in comparison, I think him leaving is definitely much more telling. And I heard a couple of people talking about this. I don't know if y'all talked about it yesterday, but I do think that it is interesting that Shuhei wasn't moved up when Jim Ryan wasn't moved out, as an example. And he's also been like, over the years, he's been pushed down further, right?
Disrespected in my eyes, but whatever.
In a lot of ways, especially as, I mean, again, coming of that culture. I mean, and he doesn't feel that. And I do think because of who he is, at least from what I understand, he seems like a humble guy anyway, and he's not going to be the type of person to come out and be like, "Oh, they treated me bad. I got all these negative things to say about PlayStation." Now, I don't think he's necessarily going to do that. He did say here in this Game Rant article, let me pull that up for you guys, that he plans to venture into voice acting for video games. This is very interesting to me. I don't know. I didn't take this as when I heard this, I was like, I've heard him before. I don't think he's being serious. Maybe he is. He also is going to be a key figure in promoting indie games. Was a key figure, in promoting indie games. Was previously featured as a playable character in a game, and fans eagerly anticipate seeing Yoshida in a future role reflecting his lasting impact on the gaming industry. Shuhei, one of the oldest and highly celebrated PlayStation execs, has shed light on his interest in becoming a voice actor once his tenure at the console giant is over. The popular PlayStation official is set to step down from his position on January 15th of 2025 after more than 30 years of service. Earlier this week, head of Indies Initiative, Yoshida, announced that he was set to bring his illustrious career at Sony to a close early next year. His decision not only sparked tributes from PlayStation fans and gamers in general, but also from several industry leads, including Xbox parent Microsoft Gaming's Phil Spencer. From being an early recruit on the original PlayStation team to a long-serving former PlayStation Studios president, Yoshida contributed to the company in different capacities over the years and left an indelible mark on its history. A major highlight of his time at Sony involves his role in promoting indie games, especially near the final years of his 3-decade-long career. Recently, Yoshida shared what's next for him in his career on Twitter, replying to an indie studio's appreciation post. He revealed that his next move would be partaking in something like voice acting. Again, I'm not going to give him. Hey, if that's what you choose to do, brother, shout out to you, man. I hope it's freaking fantastic. Maybe he wants to chill for the rest of his life. Hey, I understand it. Hey, chase that dream. While doing voice acting in a game would be a first for Yoshida, it won't be his debut, as an in-game character. That's because the PlayStation Indies head was previously featured in 2014's Super Time Force Ultra as a playable character in the PS4 and PS Vita versions. Yoshida handed over the reins of PlayStation Studios to Herman Hulst, former head of Horizon developer Guerrilla Games, way back in 2019. With the veteran now set to relinquish role of the Indies division, it will be interesting to see who takes over that responsibility and succeeds Yoshida in his final role at Sony. Again, nothing major to say here. Yoshida was overall extremely appreciative of Sony, as I would anticipate him being. If you ask me, I think this continues to spell out a path of negative things for Sony and the lack of their vision. There's not even somebody that they're mentioning that's going to step up into that role. Somebody that was as influential of a person as Yoshida has been. That is very telling as well. Pong, give your thoughts on Yoshida real quick, and give me a second or give me a moment. Let me see what's going on.
Yeah.
We may have to wind things down, but
yeah, that's fine, brother. Don't worry about it. Yeah, like I said, personally, I think that they disrespected him. He doesn't feel that way, obviously. So again, would be mad on somebody else's behalf, but for his history and what he did for PlayStation overall, his legacy cemented. The man is a legend. He's a living legend, obviously, in the gaming community. You saw the outpouring of love with his announcement from all across some of the biggest people in this industry reaching out. Everybody seems to have a story about meeting Shuhei at some point during their careers in the video game industry, whether it was as a reporter or whether it was as a CEO like Phil or whatever the case may be. Man, what a dude. And obviously everybody, what's funny about Shuhei and, is that his outgoing personality, his outwards personality is always smiling in every single picture, all of that kind of stuff. Like, he has this persona about him as just one of the nice guys of the industry. But the stories behind the scenes from the devs is that the dude is a shark. The dude is straight up a shark. The story started getting passed around again, and there's an interview with Cory Barlog about the first time Shuhei came to Sony Santa Monica to see God of War being rebooted 2018. And he left pissed and told Cory one of the worst showings he's ever seen. And like, it was like not good. And I've heard multiple stories from devs behind the scenes that he would walk into a room, or that people would get wind that he was going to show up at the studio to see their game, and the anxiety levels would go through the roof because they knew that he, behind the scenes, when it came to being critical of a game that he was reviewing for PlayStation, that he was a absolute shark, and that he would tell you flat out that your game sucked ass. And that was like one of the biggest, like, scary moments for people, was having Shuhei in that room reviewing your game for the first time. So I think that's awesome, because you need that. That is a part of why PlayStation had such high levels of quality for a very, very long time, was people like Shuhei behind the scenes. Again, what they did to him, pushing him down. Again, he loves the indie scene. Don't get me wrong. Again, he loves the indie scene, but his contribution to making PlayStation what it is today is second to none in the company. And the way that they pushed him down just to the indie scene, I thought was extremely disrespectful. Now, I said this years ago when it happened. I said that Phil should be making the call. I hope Phil, obviously sent out his congratulations to Shuhei and best of luck on what's moving, whatever he does next. I hope Phil made the call. Shuhei Yoshida running Xbox in the East would be a genius level move. Now, whether or not he wants to do that, whether or not he has still big aspirations like that to be that lead, I said that years ago. I said when they pushed him down that Phil should be trying to snipe him instantaneously for their East, because I can't imagine a better man to lead your charge over in an area that you still claim to have aspirations in, and that you want to get a piece of. Having you Shuhei as your head over there, look at
that's a big name.
Yeah, it would be huge. It would be massive. And the guy knows what he's doing. Again, his legend precedes him. Hats off to him. Again, as just a gamer, as somebody who understands what he meant for PlayStation and how much he drove as far as the games that I used to play on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. His influence to what they were as a game industry leader, man, I got to appreciate him, man. And I love all the stories about Shuhei, both that he is just an absolute gentleman in person, that he will give everybody the time of day. He walks around with that big smile. But then, of course, the business side of me, the guy who likes the competitiveness in this industry, the guy who knows you need those sharks in the room to tell your devs, like, this ain't good, or, hey, you guys are doing great, keep doing this, and understands what gamers like. Shuhei, second to none there as well. So again, appreciate the man for everything that he's done in this industry, and I hope he continues his career. I hope he does find a role somewhere else. Love to see it at Xbox, obviously. But if that's not the case, then that's not the case. Just wherever he goes, I certainly will be interested to see what he's doing next. So hats off to him.
Yeah,
so, absolutely.
All right, Paul. I gotta wind it down. I gotta dip it out. It's gonna be kind of abrupt here, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies on that, but again, real life always comes first. Nonetheless, I want to thank everybody for coming out on episode 170. Please, ladies and gentlemen, get your gaming in and hug on one another, love on one another, be safe out there, and get your gaming in, man. I might drop in maybe later, whatever the case may be. Again, I'll be off, maybe get some Monster Hunter in, and go from there. So just be on the lookout for that. Other than that, man, follow me everywhere. I still reign. That T is a 7. Pong, if you want to do a quick intro, let them know where they can find you.
Absolutely. You guys all know. Thanks again for being here. Again, just love you all. Nothing but love and respect for showing up for me and Steel. You guys know how to find me, Pong Solo everywhere. Obviously tonight, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, be there. PTK Blam, Fuzzy, and myself, and then we'll probably have a guest. I don't know if PTK is even announced it, but we will be there tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Tomorrow, be on the lookout for me and Mav on Web Dave's channel. We'll be posting that out as well. But otherwise, everybody, it's the golden age of gaming. So please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Play what you love what you play, and we'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Much love, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all coming through. We'll catch you on the next one. Don't worry, we got y'all. Much love. Stay safe.
Just one question. What if you miss?